There we are. Let me get my chat going here. How's everybody doing? I really wish I could set this up before the live, but I can't. So let me just get the chat set up on the desktop. Hopefully before anybody comes in. If you're watching on the replay, always skip through the first couple of minutes till we get chat set up and the goals set up. Get all the buttons turned to live chat. Hey Jay, you're the first one in here. I'm just getting my chat set up on the desktop that's in front of me. Well, behind the camera, but oh, hey, Sassy Granny. Hey, Mary Fish. This gives me a few minutes to set it up and bring people in. Hey, Grandma Bear. Let me just get the message into the chat and get it pinned. Then we can get this thing going. Hey, Lori. I'm doing okay. Cali Girl on Fire. I know, Cali Girl on Fire. Yeah, this is kind of a bad story. It's kind of a slow news day regarding, Nancy Guthrie, day number 126. So I thought we'd talk about something else, but I'm just going to give it a few minutes here so people can come in. Funny thing, I was down in my last Bundaberg and the top, the lid wouldn't come off. Hard to see with the green screen, but that was me using a box cutter, wire cutters, and pliers. And it wouldn't pop. And I didn't want to cut myself being on a blood thinner and bleed out before my show. So I ended up having to pour it into like a Pyrex dish that has like a spout on it, and then take an old Bundaberg bottle from recycle, clean it up, and pour it in. Like, Bundaberg, shame on you. For a woman of my age, that is dangerous. Sometimes that happens every so often that you have to pull the top, and then it's kind of a weird closure. And it won't work with a bottle opener. It's sealed, differently. It's sealed in Australia. What can I say? And sometimes the seals don't pop. So yeah, by the time I got it out, it's not even cold anymore. So I transferred it, cleaned off, the lipstick stains off the lid, and crazy. Like, what is going on? Why do you do this, Bundaberg? And it's my last one. It's not like I can say F it and put it back in the refrigerator. I'll deal with it later and I'll grab another one. Like, no, that was it. That's the last one. Even though somebody sent me, well, two different people sent me 4-packs. So I had 8 of them in the past week or so. Like, but it's good for me. How many people are in here? It's hard to see the top part of my screen on this Kyoto Japan green screen. It's hard to see the numbers because it just fades right into the sky. That probably wasn't smart. Where it tells me how many people are in and how many thumbs up, and that's a little tough to see. Hey, Suzanne. Hey, Leanne Rayner. Yeah, there's not a lot to talk about here today, but there is this story out of Kyoto, Japan. I've been following the story for the past few days. Let me just get started, I guess. I don't think a lot of people will come into this because we're not talking about Nancy today, but I am April Davis, PI. I'm a licensed private investigator in Los Angeles, California. And I've been doing a true crime series on the Nancy Guthrie case, and this is day number 126 on that. However, we're going to talk about this Weston Higginbotham. Yeah, this is crazy. It says the body of an Auburn University student who had been missing in Japan for a week has been found in a mountainous area outside of Kyoto, according to his family. You know, if Pima County could just handle their missing like Japan does, they would have found Nancy within the first week. James Weston Higginbotham, and he goes by Weston, age 20, was on a family trip when he vanished, prompting a massive search by police and local volunteers. See, Japan, they have it together there. He was last seen at the Kyoto train station on May 29th. His mother, Nancy, shared the news that on Saturday, his body had been found by a volunteer search and rescue group. Very, very sad situation. Hey, Barbara. Hey, Kathy. The grief we feel is impossible to put into words, Higginbotham wrote in a statement posted to her Facebook. We are forever grateful for the time we had with our sweet, precious Weston, but cannot begin to understand what life without him will be like. Higginbotham expressed gratitude for all those helped search for her son, showed support, and prayed for her family. We shared our story here in the media in hope of finding Weston. We now ask for privacy as we begin to navigate this unimaginable loss. It says the Higginbotham family previously said that the 20-year-old went missing after an argument over artificial intelligence during a family trip and feared he could have been emotionally distressed. I think so. This is a weird one here. He walked away from his parents after his mother was using ChatGPT to help find restaurants and other sites in the area. Nancy told NBC News the Auburn student who majors in biosystems engineering is devoted to sustainable design and opposes the world's increasing reliance on AI. Police in Kyoto said Weston Higginbotham had been missing since leaving his hotel on May 29th. His mother said that her son was last known to have entered the mountainous forest area near Yamashina, Kyoto, where there are water sources but limited food. Heavy rains from a typhoon delayed the search until Wednesday, so they lost several days' time, according to the Kyoto Prefectural Police Headquarters. So, yeah, like it sounds to me like I don't know if it was drugs. I mean, I doubt you could even get into the country of Japan with drugs on your person or in your bag. So probably, maybe it wasn't that, but unless he was on some kind of prescription medication. But this sounds like somebody with some major issues. I mean, his mother was looking for a restaurant in their hotel room on ChatGPT, and the kid like freaked out, and then the family ended up leaving without him. Um, let's see, 13 in the room, 7 thumbs up. Yeah, there's hardly anybody here. People like, if it's not about Nancy, I swear to God, if it's not about Nancy Guthrie, people don't want to watch. But I thought this kid was worth mentioning. Like, I've been following the story, especially that he went to Auburn University, because I've known several people in my lifetime that went to Auburn because I used to live in the state of Alabama. It wasn't fun. Not for me. I'm a Cali girl. But that's a really good school. And this kid was from Hoover, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham. Now, I've never been to Birmingham. Birmingham apparently is one of the most dangerous cities in all of America. It's kind of like Memphis. It's really, really bad. But there are some very ritzy suburbs that are situated outside of Birmingham, and possibly Hoover is one of those. I mean, this family was obviously well-to-do enough to take a family vacation to Kyoto, Japan. Hey, Rita. Mary said, I would just like to ask you one question if I can. If the FBI ever got back to you on what you sent in, just curious. Nope, I haven't heard from anybody. Um, Cali Girl says, I do a lot of hiking in Auburn, great town with friendly people. Yeah, isn't it like a farm town and a university town? I've known a lot of people in my life that have gone to school there and graduated from there. You know, if you live in, southern Alabama, besides University of Alabama at, I always want to say Huntsville, but it's not. It's Tuscaloosa. People, they go to that school or they go to Auburn. Um, I mean, there is some, hokey little school that's in Mobile called USA, but, people don't consider it like a legit school. Now, I don't think any of those schools are as legit as, places like UCLA or, Princeton or Yale or Harvard or USC, but it's supposed to have it's it's supposed to be a good school and it has a good engineering program and this kid was taking engineering. But to get into an argument about Chat GPT picking a restaurant, that seems a little weird. And I'm hearing stories that it may have been an unaliving rather than the kid just got stuck out there in a typhoon. There's also a lot of wildlife in Japan. Japan is I know a lot of people from Japan. I had a boyfriend from Japan, and it's mostly forest, like you see in the background. And the crime rate in Japan, as Leanne mentions, is like super low. And they got on this right away, but there was a typhoon, so they can't risk the search and rescue people. But as soon as that typhoon cleared, they were out looking, figuring that he was a hiker and he liked to hike and they saw which train he got on. Apparently, he left the hotel room when the family was gone without him because he was mad. You know, he was mad at the family and at his mother. So he stayed behind, but then he left. He didn't come back. And then they got, worried like he didn't come back. Where is he? And, they have security cameras everywhere in Japan. They were able to see what train he got on, what time, where he got off the train, which direction he headed after he got off the train. But there's a rumor that I've heard that he stopped at a hardware store and he bought some rope. And I hope that that rumor's not true. But either way, it's kind of like the Nancy situation. No matter what happened and how it turns out in the end, it's still going to be a bad situation. Like, if they're gone, they're gone. But at least, they can at least leave the country now because they had to delay their departure from Japan to go back to Alabama because they didn't know where their son was. And, they had to search and find for him. But there were volunteers like all over that part of Japan, like handing out flyers, and the whole community came together as one. And I thought, what a great story as far as how the community came together and they were able to find this young man right away, although, you know, it was too late. But it sounds like there was a lot more going on than what we're being told. But, gosh, if the people of Pima County could take a lesson, like, from the police in Japan and how the police, they allow the community and the volunteers, that's how they found the kid, not just the police, but the volunteers, the rescue people. And those people aren't even getting paid. They're just coming together because there's a crisis, there's an emergency, and let's find this young man who's not even one of their own citizens, oh my God, this is an emergency. Let's go find him. And they did. Um, you know, Nancy is more than just a missing person. She was the victim of a crime. She was kidnapped, taken, abducted from her home, according to Savannah, snatched out of her bed in the middle of the night. But the police department in that town, they don't want anybody coming in. Like, oh, we don't need you, United Cajun Navy. We don't need a search and rescue team. In fact, the locals that gathered, I think it was like a Saturday or a Sunday morning, they were warned, like, don't walk on private property. You need a permit to do this. You could all get tickets. Like, do you want her found or do you not want her found? Like, this is the difference between how Japan handles something like this and how the United States handles, well, not just the United States, but specifically Pima County, Arizona. Um, let's see. Oh, hey, Mrs. Alaska Assassin. Yeah, I was talking to your other half today by email. We've been exchanging some chat. Can I say it? Chat BT or Chat PT? Now I've lost my train of thought. Photos regarding some designs. Uh, uh-oh. What is this person doing in my chat? Okay. Oh, the trolls. And there's only 16 people in here. Oh gosh. Hey Brian, how you doing, my friend? So, yeah, we're trying to come up with some designs, and I'm not going to have an Amazon store per se because it's taken me 2 years to try to convince them like that I am April Davis and this is my address and this is my tax ID. So I always vowed that if I ever got remonetized, which I didn't think I would, but I did, that I would never open up a spread shop store. So if I get anything designed with the advice of Alaskan Assassin, I will probably put the items up on my whatnot, just like I have my poker chips and some of my stickers. And then, somebody can go sign up to whatnot, get their free 15 bucks and probably buy everything for free minus the postage. So I'm probably going to go in that direction. But if he's watching, or obviously he's probably right there with you, please tell him thank you. And I sent him the photo from the chat GPT photo from my whatnot. So, anyway, nice to have you in here, Mrs. AAA. Appreciate you. Uh, yeah, can you believe this? This thing in Japan, like, if Pima County could just take a lesson from Kyoto, uh, my prior like ex from many years ago who passed from cancer just before I got diagnosed. He was from Osaka, but his daughter lived near Kyoto, and it's just like one of the most beautiful places on earth. And Japan is so diverse because you have the forest of northern Japan and central Japan, and then, hundreds of miles off the coast, you have Okinawa Island, which is a totally different climate. It's very tropical or subtropical. There's a lot of American military bases on that island. There's, beautiful sandy beaches, and, it's almost like a resort. Whereas you go to northern Japan and you're closer to like places like Siberia and Russia. In fact, if you go to Alaska, and I got an Alaskan in here, and you go to the Aleutian Islands, to the very, very furthest tip of the Aleutians, I think it's only about 750 to 1,000 miles from the northeastern tip of Japan. People don't realize that Japan and the United States are actually very close when you think about it. Because, it would take him 11 or 12 hours to fly there from LA and usually 10 hours back. But if you could literally drive from LA to Alaska, which you could, and if there was a road that took you to all the Aleutian Islands, which would be impossible, but let's just say hypothetically there was, you're boating distance away from the country of Japan. But yet on the southern end of Japan, you've got Okinawa, and it's more like the weather that the Philippines has in South Asia. It's you just look at the map. The country is long like this. It's skinny, but it's long. And a lot of Americans go to, not just Tokyo and Osaka, but Kyoto's a huge vacation spot. And this is pretty cool that this family that was from Hoover, Alabama, traveled all the way to Japan, with their two young boys. But sadly, it didn't end well. And it just, to me, it sounds like there's a lot more going on because now that they have announced his death, they did not announce the cause of death. Now, I'm sure they'll have to do an autopsy and all that, but the fact that they're not saying, like, oh, he was found in the forest like this or like that tells me that, there was something else going on with the kid. And it's sad. He looked really cute. He was blonde, handsome young man, obviously very smart if he's at Auburn University taking engineering. So, yeah, it's strange. But when I read this story, I, I, I started thinking about Nancy and like, wow, if we could just here in the United States, but specifically in Pima County, Arizona, if that police department could handle Nancy's case like the Kyoto Prefectural Police Headquarters. It's actually called the Taikua Nishikawa of the Kyoto prefectural police headquarters. In Japan, they don't have states. They have and they don't have counties. They have prefectures. I know it's a weird word, but yeah. Um, if we could handle Nancy, or not we, as in me and my audience here, but if Pima County Sheriff could take the same approach as the Japanese, Rita Close sent. What did she send? Let me go down to the bottom. A red card. Thank you. First jewel of the day. I've never seen that one before. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. It all adds up. Um, yeah, Mary says, I know that story was just so sad. Yeah, you know what, Jay? I'm picky for Asian food too, but I could survive in Japan, especially in the larger cities, because besides the the what is it called? We call it chicken noodle here, but I eat it all the time when I'm at a Japanese restaurant, and I just went blank. It's a really good. They put like chicken and eggs and seaweed, and I can't think of it right now. I'm just like ramen, Japanese ramen. Like, and it's not like, stupid cup of ramen here that'll kill you after, one little cup. It's like real, you know, handmade ramen. Is like I could survive on that, but in Japan, they have everything that they have in the United States. They have McDonald's and 7-Eleven and Starbucks and Burger Kings and, Krispy Kreme donuts. Yeah, ramen. I just couldn't think for a moment. Like, I could live off the ramen and some of the rice dishes. Now in China, maybe like some chow mein and some wontons. That would be about it. It's funny because my family that I sponsor is Thai, and I can't eat Thai food at all. And I don't think I'd be able to eat Filipino food either, or like Cambodian, Vietnamese. And most people here in LA, because we're so culturally diverse, love to eat that stuff, especially like Vietnamese is very popular here. Not me. I can eat a little bit of Chinese and a little bit of Japanese, but I'm not a sushi person. I just won't put that into my body. I don't think it's healthy. But yet the Japanese, they all live to be in their hundreds. Now, my ex, he didn't live near that long because he had lived in the United States for so long that he had adapted to an American diet. And, American foods obviously cause cancer, where in Japan, they very rarely get cancer. And there's actually a population issue there because there's so many elderly people that are, 90s and hundreds, but yet the younger females, they're not traditionally getting married and having kids anymore, or they're just getting married and having one child. And so the population is dramatically shrinking in Japan. They'll have to bring in, you know, people from other countries because their own population is shrinking, but yet they have all these elderly people to take care of. But yeah, I'm not into the spicy Asian food. So, and I have never eaten raw food in my life either, Jay. So I won't, I've never even tried sushi, and you couldn't pay me to try it. But a lot of people love it, especially in LA. But nope, wouldn't do it. Don't like the texture, the smell, or the fact that it's raw. But I could survive in Japan because there's so much American food. Like there's a baseball player that went over there. He's been kicked out of the major leagues, but yet he's pitched 2 years in Japan, and he showed all the restaurants. And I mean, the food is absolutely wonderful there. You could survive. And they have some beach towns there. And I thought, wow, I could metal detect. In fact, I used to be friends online in one of these metal detecting groups with somebody that was metal detecting in Osaka, Japan. And I was like, oh wow, I didn't even know from Osaka it was close enough to a beach. And they would find all kinds of great stuff there. But, no more metal detecting for me with my physical health. But I thought, wow, this is an interesting story to tell because it just shows, even though this ended badly and this child was dead, 20 years old, you know, if if Pima County could take, help from volunteers, and they could have started searching for Nancy right away, you know, she probably maybe depending on the situation and who took her and where they took her and what they did with her. If she didn't survive, and she died unexpectedly, we don't know the motive or the exact situation yet with Nancy. We just know that she was taken against her will, most likely out of her home, probably dragged from her bed in the middle of the night. So it's not exactly the same type of situation, but it shows like this is what they do in Japan when the God forbid happens. And the God forbid doesn't happen very often. Although I don't know if it's like this in the current generation, but in my boyfriend's generation, and he was significantly, well, not significantly, but somewhat older than me, there were a lot of males that would unalive themselves, but that would never like happen like in somebody's home. You wouldn't desecrate the home by doing that. In fact, people don't own handguns there. And in order to even own like uh, a hunting gun, it takes like years of like courses and permits. And I don't even know if you can own a gun there anymore. It's a very difficult process. Uh, so it's possible, from what I'm hearing, that this child went into a hardware store, maybe bought some rope, maybe had intentions to take himself out. I don't know. It's either way, he's gone. Now, at least the family they have, they'll be able to get remains. And I mean, I'm sure that they're holding him right now for autopsy and testing and things of that nature. But at least these people will be able to, um, do what they have to do and, be able to have cremains, remains or cremains sent back to Alabama for, however they choose to have, the final service or memorials. What a horrible thing, on a family vacation. Like they're never going to forget this. There's an area where people, yeah, that's true, Froggy Legs. That's absolutely true. I think they call it the dead forest or something. Yeah, they got on the ball right away, Jay. It's just that they got delayed because it's typhoon season. Which, by the way, a typhoon, which it's the exact same thing as a hurricane, but in Japan they call it a typhoon. In other Asian countries, some Asian countries call it a cyclone. And then there's a different name that there are parts of Australia that can get hit with those, but it's like an Australian name, and they're all the same thing. And there's a lot of them on Okinawa Island, where we have that Air Force base. We have a huge Air Force base called Kadena. I've known people actually in like my life that have actually served there, got married there, had children there. It's a huge base. It's one of the biggest Air Force bases that we have outside of the United States, and they have these big like cinder block, military buildings. There kind of looks like you would see at an institution or something. It's not pretty, but they're huge cinder block uh, buildings, and hopefully some type of safety glass because during this season they have to lock down a lot, and they have to take the planes in, and uh, I mean the weather just gets really, really crazy out in Okinawa. But this is Kyoto. And this hit the forest, this cyclone, or well, typhoon in Japan. Um, in USA, tornadoes are sometimes called cyclones. Oh, I didn't know that. Hey, Maggie, welcome in. Your father served during the Vietnam War. Well, thank you for his service. Hey, Texas Diane. So yeah, as Jay said, they got on the ball right away, and I thought if they could just take this same structure that they have in Japan, and they could do this, they could have done this in Arizona from week one, there may have been better results. Um, in Japan, there are foot pantries with polished nails. Foot panties with polished nails? I'm not sure what you're saying. What? Yeah, that's a country I could probably live in. Oh, they have very good medical care there too. But, I'm gonna be here for the rest of my life most likely, and for the food, I could probably live in Italy because 'cause I've been to Italy when I was a child, but I would be very fat, like, hugely fat, and I'm already overweight now with all the cancer drugs that I had, so and then the heart medication. I'm as heavy as I've ever been in my life, so I would be like a beach ball if I, lived in Italy and I ate pasta every single day. I'd probably die quick 'cause, spaghetti and meatballs and, oh, it's the best in Italy. There's just no place like it in the world as far as really good, you know, pasta sauce. But Japan, they have everything. So even if you're like me and you're American and you're a picky eater, you could survive easily in Japan. And the ramen would just be to die for. Um, Spaghetti, yeah, I'd live off of that in Italy. So that's that. Not a big story to tell today. I know we've only got 22 people in here. I'll make this fast. I did want to tell you regarding Nancy. For whoever was coming in yesterday saying to go to the 2 minute 16-second mark, I misread that regarding the Juice live stream. It was supposedly 2 days ago, but it was actually the day before yesterday. So I went to the wrong video. And then I realized, oh, I think the person that was telling me, and thank you, whoever came in here and said, go to his video and go to 2:16, they meant 2 hours and 16 minutes. My brain just was like 2 minutes and 16 seconds. No, 2 hours and 16 minutes. And it was actually the video from June 4th. So if you guys want to go look at the Juice, and go to his June 4th live and go to the 2 hour and 16-minute mark, but then it goes through the rest of the video. It goes on for like more than an hour. You will see um, the horrible Pima County Sheriff's Department, which if I hadn't already lost respect for them because of how they handled Nancy, now I have no respect for them at all because they went and arrested this wonderful person who is trying to help bring Nancy home like we are here, uh, because even though his chair was on the public easement, some of his feet or toes were touching the asphalt on the street, and he not only he didn't get a ticket, he got charged with a crime and has to go on a misdemeanor criminal charge to court. I think he said the 16th or something. And he also said he's moving the same week, and so it's really gonna be a problem. And all these people were blowing up his phone while it was happening, including JLR, and they were like, "We're gonna get you an attorney, man. Like, we got your back. Like, everybody's gonna help you." And I did tell my audience yesterday here that I would go watch the video, and I did. I was up until the middle of the night because I was like, "This is BS." There are people that walk down that street every day, that live in the neighborhood, that walk, that jog, that walk their dogs, that do deliveries, and this man is on the side of the road where there's rocks, sharp rocks, broken cactus, and poop. And he said that some of it didn't look like dog poop, so you know what I'm saying? Somebody has maybe defecated and thrown their poop out there, and, he's got his chair backed up into poop, and they're gonna come not only ticket him, but they're going to charge him criminally and make him go to court. And, I don't think this guy, even though he has a much more successful channel than I have, I don't think this is a rich man. I know he's got a girlfriend. They've got children, apparently. You know, I don't think he owns even a car. And now, he's got to pay for a lawyer. And they're like, don't use a public defender because a public defender really works for the prosecutor, which is true. Never use a public defender. And they sat on the side of the road for I don't know, 30 to 45 minutes trying to decide what ticket they were gonna write him or what charge they were gonna charge him with. And somebody made a mention before I saw this. yesterday, somebody made a mention in yesterday's video, go see it, the live stream from yesterday, that this may have happened to him because of the color of his skin. And I think so. I think there's some, and if you guys want to stop watching me, stop watching me, but I'm going to say it. I think it's some white, racist, Republican maggot that's living in the Catalina foothills, and they don't want to see a black man in their neighborhood because some white, rich, Republican maggot thinks that that black male is stinking up their neighborhood. And that makes me burn. That just, I don't even know this man, and I want to give him a hug. If I had the money, I would pay for his effing lawyer. I not only sent him a super chat last night, and apparently while this was going on, and I couldn't see that on the replay, like the super chats, because they probably hadn't loaded yet. But people were like every 2 minutes were like super chat, super chat, super chat. And even one person on the playback in the comments had sent $100 super thanks. And those are hard to get, by the way, because in the lives, people send the super chats. But when people are watching the replays of the lives or the shorts or the long form content video, there's very few people who click the super thanks button. And someone had sent him an extra $100 from however many thousands he probably made. I'm sure he made enough during that broadcast just to pay for the lawyer, but everybody, including JLR, was calling him like, don't worry, man, this is bullshit. Yeah, it was bullshit. I'm going to say that, YouTube. That was effing bullshit what the Pima County Sheriff's Department did. And while they were just getting ready to come get him, they were walking from their squad car, which they had parked very far away. Like, they didn't want to get too close to the guy. They were walking back towards him, and he got a call on his cell phone from another police officer who's in the county next to Pima. And he was saying what a piece of garbage, the officers are at Pima County, and how the other cops in Arizona, they don't like the Pima County Sheriff's Department because they're so terrible. Like, they have a very bad reputation. Apparently, that department's reputation is so bad that none of the officers or detectives stay there for more than 3 years because they're just like, they're that crappy. It was like all the cops that left during the John Benet Ramsey case in Boulder because they're like, I don't think the parents did this. And if you didn't go with the story that they created, that it was the parents, then they didn't want you working for them anymore. And a lot of people, both in the prosecutor's office and the police department, were like, I won't work here anymore. And that's what's happening in Pima County. And I bet, because of this Nancy Guthrie case, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to exit the Pima County Sheriff's Department and just say, you know what, I don't want to work here anymore. You know, possibly true. I'm a Republican, but never a racist. Good for you, Jay. Yeah. Well, not everybody is a racist and a bigot, but I will guarantee it is somebody like that. And we got a guy that plays for the Dodgers, and this guy, everybody hates this guy in baseball, and he's not even Trevor Bauer. Everybody hates this guy, and I don't even need to say his name. If you guys watch baseball, you know who he is. Last night they had Dodger Pride Night, and the Dodger players were supposed to wear their LA Dodgers cap, but with the pride colors right here, like on the insignia that said LA. And out of a 26 or 27 man roster, that guy was the only a-hole who refused to wear the hat. And this was the same a-hole that took a Sharpie and wrote Charlie Kirk on his cap after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. Now, yeah, that was a terrible thing. Nobody should unalive anybody. That was a crime. It was a terrible crime. But based on the kind of person he was, people were like, well, I'm not surprised that happened. I'm not surprised that happened. But this maggot who works for the Dodgers, he had to come out and write that on his cap. And you can get fined. You can get fined like, $10,000 or something by Major League Baseball. It's a lot of money. But those guys, they're all like multimillionaires. So what's 10,000 or something? Like, it's not a big deal. Even 50,000, 100,000, like, it's pocket change. And apparently they didn't fine him. They didn't suspend him. And then last night, and this was a team order, like that this was put in the clubhouse of every locker. This is the hat you are going to, this is the uniform you wear tonight. And he was like, I'm not wearing it. And it was like, I effing hate that guy. And I'm not even in the LGBTQ community, but that guy is garbage. That guy is trash. He is trash. And not because he's a Christian. I'm a Christian too. I was raised in the Episcopal Church. But that guy is trash. And the officer that wrote this, I was going to say wrote the ticket, but they didn't write a ticket. They could have just wrote him a ticket. But no, they charged him with a misdemeanor crime. And if that goes on his record, he may be forbidden, especially as a black man, from ever getting a job. There may be certain jobs that they will say, no, we're not going to hire you because you failed the background because you have a crime on your record. So if you guys are not watching the juice, you guys go subscribe to him. And even though I'm on a limited disability income, I'm taking some of the YouTube money that I'm going to earn this month, and I sent him another small chat. And I also used as many of my hype points as I could, and I hyped the video. Um, and I wrote him and I said, I wish I could give you more, but here's my super chat, here's my hype, and I've been a PI for this many years, and this is BS. Um, Nobody's messages are being ignored, Elijah. I'm busy telling the story. I will get to you when I can. Do you watch the game? People can be so ignorant, says Mary. Um, Colored says lies. No, it's not lies. It's true. Time out. Uh, okay, Elijah, I've had enough of your bullshit. Goodbye. I'm pissed. And if they want to demonetize this video, fine. But I am pissed. Yes, I am extremely disabled, James Smythe. And I'm on a very limited income. And even with the extra money that I am now earning from YouTube, that's basically just paying for YouTube, I don't have enough to pay my bills every month. Eventually, my savings is going to run out and I will be homeless. But I still said, you know what? Even though it's just a little bit of, it's just a couple of bucks. If everybody here that's watching could go send that guy a couple bucks just to say, I support you, and I'm a stickler for crime because I'm a detective and I don't put up with any BS. If somebody commits a crime and somebody deserves a ticket, then they deserve a ticket. But this guy, he didn't even get a ticket. He has been charged criminally. He got a citation to go to court. They're like, this isn't even a ticket that he can just write a check and send it to the court. Like, he has to go to court now. And he's moving that week. And he's like, oh, it's coming up on the 16th and I'm supposed to be moving that week. And like, he's probably got to be out of his current place by a certain date, to move into the next place, probably be out by the 15th to be moved into the 16th of the next place. It's probably one of those mid-month moves. But yet, and this is going to be, they're telling people to fly, they're telling other YouTubers, you fly into Tucson and you show up at this courthouse on the 16th to support this guy. I wish I could. Um, Cali Girl on Fire, I'm in your boat, April. I'm in God's grace and he takes care of my finances. I don't know how he does, but he does it every time. You know what? I believe Cali Girl on Fire, the power of prayer. If it weren't for the power of prayer, yeah, I did see him now, Jay. Thank you for letting me know. And, I don't care. You can be Republican, you can be Democrat, you can be independent. I don't even care if you vote. And you can come to my channel. I don't care if you're straight or gay or bi or trans or black or white or yellow or brown. I don't care. You know, my friends are from everywhere. We have 110 different countries that live here in LA. And, when I was a kid, we lived in a town that was extraordinarily racist. And, this guy that my dad brought into Connecticut, the KKK burned a cross in his lawn in Mississippi because he was black, and they almost didn't make it out of the house. And when my sister's bestie moved in across the street from our house in a white neighborhood, my parents were very fearful that they too would be attacked by the KKK. Now, luckily they weren't. And what's funny is those people would not have moved into the neighborhood if it wasn't for our support, us being white and supporting them, because it was like you're either white or you're black, and it's two separate, and I wasn't raised like that because I wasn't raised in that type of community. We lived there, but my parents, that's just unacceptable. And I don't want to call the cop a racist, but I think the neighbor that called this crime in, or it's not even a crime. I mean, his chair was on the dirt next to the poop, but his foot, the guy is 6'4", and he said, I'm 6'4", and he's in this little uncomfortable chair out in the desert in the heat. And he's like, occasionally I have to stand up and walk around. His camera's not even on the pavement. It's sitting in the dirt with the broken cacti. It's like, go after that a-hole that did that. Okay? Go find Nancy Guthrie. They sat out there for like an hour in their car trying to decide what crime he committed. And they had to show him a map like, well, this is the property line and this is the public easement, but your foot is on the concrete. You know how many people walk down that street a day? You know how many people go out to Nancy Guthrie's to lay flowers or to leave a card? That memorial is still there. They've got people from the neighborhood that come and take the dead flowers away, and then more people come, and people are still leaving flowers. There's notes on the mailbox. There's little signs that are posted on her property, but nobody gets a ticket for that. Okay? But this guy, as a black male, now has to go to court and is being charged with a crime. And it's all going to come down to, does he get a fair judge or does he get a racist judge? If he gets a racist judge, he'll probably lose his case. Um, so, yeah, Pima County Sheriff is an a-hole. Absolutely, young Snurley, thanks for, or let me see, young Snurley? I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but thank you. Um, And I agree, Jay. Not all Republicans are racist, but I will bet everything I own that the person that if we could get the 911 tape, let's see who called it in. You know, be a white Republican, racist, bigot, um, who didn't want a black man in their neighborhood. I don't see JLR or any of his friends getting arrested out there. And they can't sit out there either. There's just this little piece of dirt that's full of poop. And the guy said, there's been other people out here, and he never argued with the cop because he knew better as a black male not to argue with the police. And the police officer was kind and respectful, but some neighborhood person was like, and the cop even said, yeah, we got a call from a neighbor that they don't want you out on the street. And so they had to create a crime that this guy committed because his foot touched the pavement while he's sitting in the chair. And when he stands up, because his back is, and I know my back is wrecked from sitting at this chair every day doing these lives. And he's out there like, for hours and hours until the sun goes down in the heat. And they can't even park out there. He doesn't even own a car. Somebody has to give him a ride and pick him up. So if he needs to use the bathroom, they got to come get him and take him somewhere. Like I couldn't believe that Nancy is missing. The police department, if you have all that extra time on your hands, why are you not out looking for Nancy? Why are you not out looking for probably the neighbor that desecrated the cactus and threw the poop out on a public easement? And that's littering. Even the cops said, yeah, that they could get fined for littering. Well, they could also get fined for desecrating the cactus. They could get fined for throwing poop that may not have been dog poop on the side of the road. You know who'd be really upset about this? Nancy Guthrie. She would be appalled of this behavior. She would be appalled that this poor black man is going to have to go to court now because of some racist neighbor in the Catalina foothills. Shame on you, whoever you are. And I know not everybody in that neighborhood is like that. There are very good people that live in that neighborhood, including Nancy, including one of our friends that came in here. Uh, but that is unacceptable. And I would suggest that everybody here, even if you have just an extra dollar to spare, go over to the broadcast live from June 4th to the Juice and say, hey, April Davis PI sent me over here, and I just want to show you my support. Even if you can't afford to, just say, I'm just here. April Davis PI referred me to your channel, and I saw the video, or I heard about the video, and, you know, uh, I would like to contact him and say, do you have a mailing address? So I could send the guy something, just a little token of my appreciation. It's like was like 103 degrees yesterday, and this guy's out there, like burning in the heat. And now it's a big to do. And it's like, where's Nancy? Yesterday was day 125. The day before was 124. Go find Nancy Guthrie. If they've got 50,000 tips to work on, bring some of the officers from the field into the call centers. Have them assist the detectives in following up on these 50,000 leads, especially since your boss doesn't want the FBI to handle it. Then go out and find her. But no, let's go out and hook up this black man. I'm surprised that they didn't put the handcuffs on him and take him down to the police station and take his mugshot and fingerprint him and put him in a holding cell and make him post bail. Since he wasn't being cited for a ticket, he was being cited for an actual misdemeanor crime. I mean, this is awful. And I'm sure my blood pressure is rising. But you know what? The Juice, I'm sure you're never going to see this, but we are with you. Um, we are with you. Uh, Froggy says a panty sock with for EAC to a polished nail. Okay, I'm lost. Uh, um, Mary Fish says, yeah, that was just ridiculous for that officer. And they had to call the supervisor too. So it took, two officers, including a supervisor. Now, according to what I'm hearing, there's a lot of dangerous crime in Tucson. And it was during twilight where the sun was going down, and that's when all the cockroaches come out. You know, they had to take a supervisor from actually going out and catching real criminals. Unbelievable. I do think it'll be thrown out, Jay, unless we've got a racist judge. If that guy that went out on the Dodger field last night refusing to wear the pride hat, if he was the judge, that guy will lose his case. If it's an a-hole, like I'll say his name, Blake Trinan, yeah, Blake Trinan, you're an effing a-hole, and shame on you. Shame on you. You don't deserve to be in Dodger blue. I don't care if you're the best pitcher on the planet. You shouldn't even be playing for Major League Baseball. You're an asshole, Blake Trinan. That is unacceptable to me. Racism, um, bigots, people that are not inclusive to everybody. Once again, everybody here on my channel is welcome. Everybody is welcome. But, you know, who in the neighborhood, that's what they need to investigate. Who in the neighborhood is destroying the neighborhood? Remember when somebody took their car and ran over part of the memorial? What kind of sick person does that? Can you imagine how Savannah and her family must have felt when they heard about that? That someone had took their car and ran over the memorial that's on their mother's property? You know, sick people. So, and not one person almost ran the guy over, you know. It wasn't blocking traffic. It's terrible. And I could hear the hurt in the man's voice because he knew, he knew that this wasn't about his foot being on the pavement. This was about a black man being in a neighborhood. And he's probably dealt with this before. He's probably dealt with this his whole life because he's a black man, but he kept his cool. He didn't freak out about it. He was very nice. He was very respectful to the cop. The cop was respectful to him, but the cop had to write him up and had to charge him per the supervisor. While he's got another cop on the line saying, "Hey, I'm a cop, and we don't even like this department. They're a-holes." Like, um, I hope something very, very positive ends up coming out of this situation for the juice. And I don't even know his real name. And they said his name a little bit, but they were asking for his name and his address, and he had to be careful, like what he showed on film, or on video because he didn't want his personal address. But he just goes by the juice. Leanne's is completely ridiculous. Public defenders don't really care about defendants. That's true, Jay. They don't. And apparently, you guys have mentioned him several times, exploring with Jim. I guess he had, within minutes, had already found an attorney in Tucson that has agreed to take this case pro bono and represent him. So, that's another YouTuber that I hear a lot of really nice things about, exploring with Jim. So, thank you, Jim. If you did that for the juice, that's true. And I know that, because of his criminal history, a lot of people don't like JLR, but I have to give him a pat on the back too for this because he was one of the first ones that jumped to his defense and said, "We got your back, brother. We got your back." Um, because apparently JLR, even though with his criminal and litigious background, he's not a racist. And he's like, "Hey, brother, we got your back anytime." And to Juice, he was like, "No, no, no, like it's okay. I'll handle it somehow." And then I'll have to look at the chat when the chat reloads to see how many super chats. He probably made a couple grand, just because that happened, because people were like, "I wanna support you." And I wish I could send him more. I've sent him super chats before, but they're always small, like, $2 or whatever. But I'm like, "Hey, I have the video. I gave it a thumbs up. I sent you a super chat." And as a detective, a long-term private investigator, and I do follow the law, I just think what happened to him was criminal. Um Well, I liked your channel, but you just said a Republican was after him because he was black. Yeah, that was probably a white Republican, uh, maggot who did that. So you don't have to watch. Um, and I have a lot of friends that are Republican, as I have a lot of friends that are Democrat. I have a lot of friends that are independent. I have friends that are white. I have friends that are black. One of my best friends is a black woman. I had a Japanese boyfriend. I sponsor a family from Thailand. I am not a racist in any way. I have a niece who is a gay woman. Uh, like, I include everybody. And we don't typically talk politics here or religion. But what has happened to this man is despicable. And I don't really think that he is being charged with a crime because his foot was on the street. Um, Ash Cash, yes, this was so wrong. Um, but Pride isn't being funded. It has nothing to do with being funded. It had to do with following the rules of the team last night. When the team says, "This is your uniform," and put on your fucking uniform, you put on your fucking uniform and you go out on the fucking field. Okay? Now I'm going to get demonetized for this. But, you know, that guy, he should not only be a Dodger, but he should be fined. And he should only get 3 strikes on these types of fines. And after his 3 strikes, he's out. Thank you, Gene. Thank you for supporting me. I love everybody here. I don't condone crime, but I don't think that this man committed a crime. Because if he committed a crime, then every single neighbor that walks their dog, that jogs, that just takes a morning walk or an after dinner walk, anybody who puts their foot on the pavement of Nancy Street is therefore a criminal because they might be blocking traffic. If a bicyclist drives down the road, well, I guess that's a crime too because they're not in a bike lane. But that street doesn't have bike lanes and it doesn't have any curbs and it doesn't have any sidewalks. He's not on private property. He's on a public easement that's been covered in poop. And he said it doesn't look like dog poop to him. It looks like people defecated out there or they defecated somewhere else and they brought it. They dumped poop in the street. They probably got like an axe or a hatchet or a big shovel or a gardening hoe or something, and they desecrated the cactus. Those are living beings. That you can't do that. You can't go out and chop the trees down and the bushes down and the cactus down. You can't do that. That's a crime. And then if you throw poop out there, it's littering. Um, that is not acceptable at all. And they need to find that person, and that person needs to be cited with a misdemeanor or whatever they're going to charge that person with and go to court. But no, now this, black YouTuber, he's going to have to go to court. And let me tell you, every YouTuber, every boots on the ground that's out there, they're going to be in that courthouse. I hope it's an open hearing. I hope it's not a closed door hearing. I hope TMZ is there. I hope all the news cameras are there. I hope this story goes viral. I hope it's international. And, everybody will support this man. If this is the type of police they have in Pima County, without the FBI, this Nancy Guthrie case would never be solved. Just saying. But I think the FBI will solve it. I do think they will solve this case. But it's not going to happen by Pima County Sheriff. Let's see. Yeah, for his feet being on the road lines, just be decent to each other. Exactly. Um, it's just the Blake Trinans in the world, and I don't even blame the police officer because the police officer um had to. Uh-oh, somebody said something. Let's see. Let me go back. The police officer had to respond to the call because 911 did get a phone call. Someone did. I can't even find it now. Somebody did respond, a police officer. If somebody calls 911 and says, "Hey, I have a problem and you have to come out to such and such address," then they have to come out to such and such address. And they did. And they were doing their job. But if I were the cop, I would have just said, can you move to a different spot? Or can you just make sure that everything is on the public easement because we don't want you to get hit by a car? Or if they were really being rude, they could just say, you know what, why don't you just leave, and set up somewhere else. We don't want you to, you know, it's causing a ruckus within the neighborhood. Just move your location. Or I would have just said, make sure that your feet aren't in the street anymore. And then I would have just driven away in 2 minutes. There's no way I would have been out there for 45 minutes to an hour with a supervisor trying to decide, what am I going to charge this poor guy with, who probably doesn't have the money for a lawyer. Hi from Lancashire, England. Boy, you probably don't want to rewatch this one because I say some bad words. Um, Be miss. Yes, they do need to investigate all the important things. C. Kushner. Hi, everyone. Hey, Cheryl. Um, yeah, Leanne, she says, found DeJuice's YouTube channel. Thanks so much for the recommendation. Make sure that you guys go to the June 4th video and go to the live. Don't go to a short or go to the video tab. Go to the live tab. Go to the June 4th live broadcast and just fast forward to the 2 hour and 16-minute mark. And then you can watch this whole thing play out until the end of the video. It's just pathetic. And if you can, please, I would appreciate it since, I'm trying to, build my channel as well. Just, if you didn't know who he was before I told you about him, you probably do because he's a lot bigger than me. But go over there and say, hey, I was watching April Davis PI, and she sent me over to your channel to watch this, and everybody here fully supports you. Christy, in my opinion, the YouTubers have caused a deep dive into the sheriff. Yes, and other officers, and they don't like it. That's true. The officer that gave the ticket had a background and should have been fired. Disgusting. Yeah, it is disgusting. But they did have to respond to the call because there was someone in that neighborhood, probably on that street, or someone that was driving down that street went, oh, black man in the neighborhood. Remember, our family, we were the first. My sister was best friends at a private white school with a black girl, and her mother was a very infamous lawyer and a judge. And she came from nothing. She came from a shack in a town called Sunflower, Alabama, where they didn't even have a floor. It was a shack. She went to Howard University. She became a lawyer. She became a judge. She had She was a judge by day, but she had a law firm at night where she would help the community for free, help people in the black community. And they moved to an all white neighborhood to come live there so that her daughter would be across the street from my little sister. And people were furious. And sadly, after they moved in, her husband got cancer, stomach cancer, and he passed. And my parents were so worried that just like their friends in Mississippi, their black friends, where the KKK burned across, that would happen to this black family. Their names were the Smiths. And luckily, it didn't happen. And they were accepted. But because they took the first leap and moved into a white neighborhood, after we ended up leaving, we moved to Washington, D.C. Um, the neighborhood, as time went on and the years went by, more African American families started moving into the neighborhood. And then my parents still knew some of the original people from way back when everybody came there in the late 60s, early 70s. And a lot of those people, they were like, "Oh, you wouldn't believe what's happened to the neighborhood and all of our houses. The prices are plummeting because the African Americans, or they call them the blacks, were moving into the neighborhood, and they're building new neighborhoods now in Mobile Bay and Fairhope and Daphne and Point Clear and all these places near the beach. Like we're all vacating the neighborhood, and oh my God, our real estate is tumbling because black people are moving in. It was like, and I thought, you know what? If it wasn't for our family and that first black family making that move and us accepting them, then the other black families wouldn't have come. So it's kind of funny that, you know, all the neighbors, they ran like cockroaches because they were like, oh, no, no, no. That's very separate. Now, I haven't lived on the Gulf Coast in over 40 years. But my friend that I grew up with, whose sister still lives in that neighborhood, and all of her friends now, they're all black because she's the only white family, I guess, that's left in that neighborhood. The younger sister who lives in Florida, she won't even visit there anymore because she's like, it's so racist, April. And I'm like, well, it was racist in like 1970. This is 2026. And she's like, oh no, it's still the same. So, and it's not just the South, it's everywhere. Racism is everywhere. Even in California, there's racism, believe it or not. I know that's hard to believe when we have 110 different countries living in LA, but there are racist people everywhere. And I think what happened last night in Pima County, Arizona, in the Catalina foothills, was the act of a racist police department who was responding to a 911 call by a racist neighbor. And it's just not right. And I know that, most white people are not like that. Most people are, decent human beings like myself and like everybody or most of the people in this chat, except for some of the trolls that we have to take up. Oh, Mr. Burton, you must be one of the racists. Got to take you out. So This is just, terrible. It's absolutely terrible. I wasn't trying to delete you. I was trying to, like, put you in timeout, but come back in 24 hours, dude. Um, yeah, like, I guess in Catalina Foothills, if you're, a Black YouTuber, you can't go in that neighborhood. I don't think this was really about his feet being on the edge of the pavement. I don't think that, my chat on my phone is so far behind the chat that's on my computer. Um, let's see. Boy, we're gonna get a lot of viewers now. Oh, jeez. People were like, "Oh, wow, this is blowing up now." Now we got 30 people. No, this isn't about Trump. Police wasting time and money. Yes, Jay. Just ask back feet a few inches. That's what I would do. If I were the police officer there, I would just say, "Hey, can you just, move a couple of inches?" Um, then go seek caller and arrest for illegitimate calls to the police. Exactly. Exactly. And there's been tons of people out there, people walking all over that street, you know. I understand why they had to put up the no parking signs because it was like a zoo in that neighborhood, and they finally just was like, "Okay, enough is enough. We gotta clear the streets." You wouldn't be able to get a fire truck through there in case there was an emergency. I understand that. Oh, thank you, Brian, for sending the star. Um Okay, Leanne says, I have never heard of the juice before you mentioned him. I will definitely let him know that you recommended him. Thank you, Leanne. Most of the people here know who he is. I don't know a lot of these YouTubers. Like, I know who JLR is, whether you like him or not, I know who he is. Uh, there's some guy that's with him, Ted. I don't know what his channel name is. I don't care for him at all. Uh, but he curses too much like me. And today I cursed a storm and I apologize, but not really because, you know, uh, and I don't want to get my channel demonetized. If I do, I do. It's a risk I'm going to take. But, you know, the thing with the juice, I was told about it yesterday afternoon in my live. Then the Dodger game happened and I was like, what's that? And then in the middle of the night, I watched the video. I finally found the right video because they had said 2 days before yesterday. No, it was a day before yesterday. So I was looking at the June 3rd video. It was June 4th. Oh, who sent me the LOL for 440 jewels? Gene Newbeck always coming through with the big jewels. Thank you so much. You know, and I'm up till like 3 a.m. again watching all this because it was like, oh, I can't take my eyes off this. I thought this was gonna be a 5, 10, 15-minute clip. No, this was going on for more than an hour, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. And I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta send this guy a super chat. I gotta hype his video. I gotta put it in the comments that, I'm a PI and I'm a fellow YouTuber and I'm, covering this case live too. Not live boots on the ground live, but live from, my chair in Los Angeles here." Um, you know, uh like, I wanted to support him. Uh, Here's another gift. What is this? Sent a power potion. Boy, I need that today. I'm dehydrated today. Um, oh, Kathy says, town where my mom is from and never saw black people. Kathy said, I question my mom. We had 2 black families in my town. Yeah, we had a lot of black people in Mobile. Mobile is predominantly black when we lived in Mobile. Then we moved to Washington, D.C. And I remember my cousin who comes in here and she's very supportive. She was worried about us because she was like, "Oh my God, you're moving to a black town." And I was like, "Well, actually, we're moving to Maryland, but it's kind of like the big city, like Washington, D.C. Like there's people from all countries in our neighborhoods. We had white friends, we had black friends, we had Christian friends, we had Jewish friends, we had Muslim friends, we had people from India in our neighborhood. Um, People from all over. They nickname our neighborhood the United Nations because that's what it's like if you live in New York or LA or any other big American city. There's people from all countries, all walks of life, all races, all colors, we are accepting of everybody. And so, my best friend in high school was Hispanic, but she had to hide that because she was afraid she would be attacked, in a southern school. So she made me swear that I would never tell anybody that she was really Latino. We're like, what? Like she had to hide that. Um, it was just like be proud. When I went to St. Paul's, which was a very white racist school, and there was 2 black people, one that was in my sister's class, and then eventually there was a guy that was in my class, but he was from a very rich family where they had named a magnet school. I think it was called La Fleur, and he was like Haitian French black because he had a French last name. That was 2 people, and I was at that school for 4 years. But then when I went to the public schools, it was mixed, you know? There was black kids, white kids, Hispanic kids, you know? That's the way it was, but, my Hispanic best friend from high school, Cindy, she had to hide that she was Hispanic. One of my best friends at that white school, St. Paul's, was from China. They were the Chinese family. Um, we had close friends that worked at my dad's shipyard that were Chinese, and people didn't like it when the Chinese came knocking on our door. Like our other close friends there, they were from Italy. They were the neighbors of John Travolta when they immigrated from Italy. The Belezas grew up with the Travoltas. Like everybody is welcome in my community, every religion. I don't care if you're Democratic, Republican, Independent. I don't care if you're straight or you're gay or you're like Bruce Jenner and you put a dress on and say, "Okay, this is the new me." I don't care. If Bruce Jenner called and said, "Hey, April, I want to hire you to do something for me," you know, I would do it. Now, if I can't do it because of my disability, I would say, "You know what? I'm disabled now and I can't do that, but I can refer you to somebody really good who can, and I'll refer you to a really good, comrade." Like I don't care. You know, I'm not sleeping with Bruce Jenner, so I don't care if he wears a dress. You know what I'm saying? If that makes her happy now, that's fine. We talked about Megyn Kelly and Adam Carolla the other day. If Jennifer Lopez's daughter wants to be a boy now and he is 18, then he can do that. It's perfectly legal. You know what? I don't know Jennifer Lopez or her kids. I don't know Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner or their children. So I can't make those decisions about they're right or they're wrong or this is a great thing or a terrible thing. That's not my business. Um, so, gosh, Megyn Kelly this week with that, and then the Blake Trinan thing, and now that story's huge in Los Angeles. That shouldn't have to be a big story. Everybody knows that Blake Trinan is an a-hole. Who cares? Like, he just shouldn't be a Dodger anymore. That's what's bothering everybody. Like, it's disrespectful to the team. It's disrespectful to the community. The Dodgers pride themselves that just one night of the year that they'll have their pride night. And there's always this one guy that tries to ruin it, and people don't like that. Like, just get over it, you know, get over it. So I'm very, even though I am not a black person, I am very offended by the way that the juice, and I wish I knew his real name. I wish I did. I wish I had his address, or I wish he should start a P.O. box or a mailing address like I have for my business so we could all send him, just little gifts, or I just want to send the guy something. Maybe I'll send him a message and say, "Hey, do you have a mailing address? Because, I want to send you a gift." Or you guys, just go and do what I did. Give him a super chat, give him a thumbs up, send him a jewel, hype his video. Now, videos can only be hyped for 7 days, and that video's from the 4th, so it's already 3 days old. So if you're gonna go use your hype points, do it before the 7-day mark, but you should specifically hype the video where he gets, cited by the police. Um, I just, I get very passionate about that. I do tell everybody that everybody's welcome, uh, in my channel. Someone told them to make an example of him, in my opinion, probably. Um The same officer had been driving by days prior and never said a word. Probably the miss. But once they got the call, to 911, they had to go out and check it out. And I don't think that officer really wanted to cite him. And therefore, that's why he called the supervisor. And that's why they didn't get out of their cars right away, because he didn't want to be that guy that had to do that. But he shouldn't have done that. He should have just said, you know what? I'm going to make a judgment call here, and I'm just going to ask him to make sure that his feet aren't in the road, because, we don't want you to get hit by a car. And he even had a notice. He had a vest on, the juice, that was reflective. So, if a car was driving down the street, they would see his jacket. Jean Newbeck sent a guitar for 1,000 jewels. Oh my God! After she sent the "Stay Hydrated." Oh, the juice is Troy Bradshaw. Is that his name? Is his name Troy? I like that name. I didn't know that. He has a Cash App on his YouTube, I believe. Oh, I didn't know that either. Thanks for letting me know. He is also a physical therapist and does DoorDash and YouTube. Has 3 children. I know he mentions his girl a lot, which must be, his wife or his girlfriend or his baby mama, because he was like, no, because last night, JLR was like, "Do you need a ride, man? Do you need us to come pick you up?" And he's like, "No, I got it. Like, I'm gonna call my girl and she's gonna come get me." So maybe, they do have a car and, he gives it to the girlfriend and she drops him off there. And he's like, she's probably watching right now. Yes, Gabrielle is his girlfriend. Oh, this is great information. See, this is such a great community. If it weren't for somebody here yesterday telling me about this, um, I wouldn't have known that this was happening. Um, and I'm glad. And I wish I could remember who brought it to my attention yesterday and said that this had happened. Um, so let me get my chat on the phone is way behind the chat that's behind me, or behind the camera. Troy Bradshaw. Um, he has 3 kids. Wow. I didn't know he was a physical therapist. Kathy, Sheriff Nano sent a statement to say if they get a call to that address, the sheriffs have to arrest or cite them. If not done, they will face getting in trouble. But you know what? That crime that it's not going to hold up in court unless they get a really bad judge. And most judges are fair and impartial. Um, she does DoorDash while he's at Nancy's, and then she picks him up. Oh, okay. Here he is sitting in 103-degree heat with sharp, jagged rocks, pieces of broken cacti that have thorns that are like this big, and dog poop. And and he even said it was more than dog poop. So it's like, could it be human feces out there? And there's probably flies and the rats and the mice and the vultures. And, you know, he's sitting out there in that mess because he wants to keep Nancy's case alive. That's why I'm busting my hump every day coming on here, even when I don't feel well. Or I've been trying to get to the pharmacy again for a week, and they keep sending me threatening texts like, you better get here, or we're gonna take these drugs and put them back on the shelf. Like, hey, bitch, get over here, get your drugs. Like, I don't want to go over there on a Saturday or Sunday and stand in a line of 20 people when I got my cane and all the chairs will be full, with the sick people waiting for their shots. Like, I'm going to go Monday when it's a little bit more slow. Um, I want to give something every day to Nancy, even though today we talked about poor Weston Higginbotham. Um, I thought he was worth a mention, especially just because of the way the Japanese people handled his missing case versus the way Nancy's case is being handled in Pima County. Um, Bemis says, yes, Kathy, but they made a new statement today stating there would still have to be probable cause. Bemis, he does, as I do too. I always tell you guys, pray for Nancy, pray for Savannah, hashtag justice for Nancy. Also, he prays each night first for Nancy to be found, and he means it. He's not just doing this to make money. This has cost him. You know how many pieces of equipment I've had to buy? I got to pay a phone bill now for the next 3 years. And my statement or my SSDI, which by the way, is not the government's money, it's my money. My sister made a remark about that, like, oh, that's free money from the government. It's like, no, it's not. I've worked for it, bitch, since I was 17 years old. She's never had a job. Well, yeah, that's not completely true. Whenever she works, she gets fired or she quits because she can't handle it. She has a criminal record. She has a mental health record. I've never been in jail. I've never been arrested. I only had one parking ticket, or one driving ticket my whole life, and it was a trap, and I never argued with the officer. I said, "Thank you very much, officer." And I went to my traffic school, and that was it. It happens. It was, it was a trap. I don't think I was at fault, but I just said, "Thank you very much, officer." And he was nice to me, and I was nice to him, and I drove home, and it is what it is. Um, like I've had one traffic ticket my whole life. I don't know if I've even had a parking ticket in this city. And everybody gets parking tickets. Um, I've worked since I was 17. Um, when my mom got a divorce, you know, I had a side hustle just so I could help my mother pay off her credit cards after her divorce. Like, that's the kind of person I am. Like, um, try to take care of your parents. Um, I don't have grandparents to take care of because they all died when I was just a little kid, sadly. Most of them had cancer and they died young, but you do the right thing. And I think that this DeJuice, he's got a good heart, which I think I have too. Like let's help people. You know, I could have gone off and got some government job that had benefits and retirement, and disability pay, but I wasn't, my eyes weren't good enough. So I instead got into the private sector. And it was actually my mom who found the ad for a school and she said, this will be right up your alley. You should do this. And I was like, what? Like, I don't want to be a PI. I've been a PI for 42 years, and I don't talk about all the people I've helped. I don't talk about the people whose lives I've saved. That they wouldn't be here today if it weren't for what I did and me putting myself out on the line. It's much more dangerous being a PI than being a cop, and being a cop is one of the top more dangerous jobs. Like, being a firefighter, being a police officer, those are all dangerous jobs. But when you're a PI, you can't carry a gun in LA County, even if you're a cop. That's when you have to put your gun in your gun box at home. You can't carry. Um, you don't have a bubble gum machine light on the top of your car. You don't have a partner. Um, they didn't even have cell phones when I started. You had to go to a payphone that was all full of germs and that was in a bad neighborhood to make a call to the office like, hey, I'm getting ready to end my shift. Is it okay? Can I leave now? You know, um, I've sacrificed my personal life. Uh, Never married, no children. I do have my Thai family and my Thai kids, my sponsor kids, but they're grown up now with their own lives. Very proud of them. Um, you know, I think that the juice, that he's a real one. He's not a fake. He's not a phony. He seems like he's got a very, very good heart, and he really cares about Nancy being found. I think most all of them that are out there, they want Nancy to be found. I want Nancy to be found. I know this case is not going to end well. I want her to be found. I don't think she's alive. I think if people think she is, even though that's being positive, that's also living in a dream world because of her age and her health and her meds and the fact that she was bleeding when she was taken away from her house. Um, if she did pass, I hope it was fast. I hope it was painless, although it probably wasn't. Death is never pretty. But I want her to be found. I want her to be laid to rest properly. And I want whoever did this, no matter if it's her family or if it's her next door neighbor or if it's a stranger from another part of the world, I want the people involved to all be arrested and spend the rest of their miserable lives rotting in prison, not just jail, but prison, where they should for the rest of their miserable lives. Uh, it's deplorable that somebody went and dragged an 84-year-old woman out of her bed and out of her house, probably still in her nightgown. Savannah said they don't even think she had her shoes. She definitely didn't have her meds. She didn't have her hearing aids. They probably didn't even take her glasses. She couldn't see. She couldn't hear. She's, either being dragged or carried or walking on, you know, rocks and dirt. And, it's just, it's horrible. It's absolutely despicable. And there's all these people from all over the world that are gathering in Tucson that are trying to help. And then something like this happens on the 4th. And thank you for whoever told me yesterday. I can't remember which viewer it was. It seemed to me it was a regular viewer that came into my channel and said, you know, did you hear about what happened to Juice? Because I wouldn't have known if you guys didn't mention it, because I don't have time to watch all the YouTubers all the time. No thanks needed. I think highly of Troy and Gabrielle. Has she been on the channel too? Because I'd love to see her or know more about him. Thanks for letting me know his name is Troy. Um, uh, yeah, he seems like a good guy. Hey, Boston Bill. Boy, if you get offended easily by curse words or me getting upset, you don't want to see the replay on this one. But if you're, which I do think you are a decent human being, and people being wrongly arrested or accused, then you're gonna want to watch this. Um, I know, Ash Cash, setting out there in over 100 degrees. 100 degrees. Me too, April. Shame on them. Why was she targeted? You mean Nancy? Probably for money, I would think. Either someone was trying to shake down Savannah or somebody close to her was trying to get some money. Um, I don't think this is just a revenge crime. I think this is a money crime. Um, Vicki Johnson, welcome in. For some reason, I believe family members like her son-in-law, and hate to say that. There are certainly some red flags, Vicki, but we don't know. Everybody here on my channel is innocent until proven guilty. I mean, they do seem like they're weird people, but that doesn't necessarily mean they had anything to do with it. Um, she just talks in the background some. She helps on the chat. She mods it for him. Oh, okay, V-Miss. Yeah, Boston says definitely money regarding Nancy. Yeah, I don't know if you heard what happened, but go watch the Juice June 4th, his live video, and start at the 2 minute and 16-second mark, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Uh, yeah, somebody, and I know the police, they have to respond to a 911. If somebody says, hey, somebody's committing a crime, or we think somebody's committing a crime, they do have to go out. But that officer, he knew who these people were. He knew who this guy is. And, here he is sitting in broken rocks, broken cactus, and poop, which may have not just been dog poop, and it's sitting in 100-degree heat, and his sneaker touched the pavement, and now you better show up to court or you're going to jail. It's just, and apparently, from what I've heard, it was Exploring with Jim. And I know who he is, but I don't watch him a lot. He was the guy I saw out with the train car out in the desert. I think he was the one who found the attorney. I know JLR also said, we'll get you an attorney. And even a police officer called in the middle of, him getting ready to be arrested. Well, they didn't arrest him. They wrote him up on a piece of paper and gave him, an order to go to court. It wasn't even a ticket. It didn't even, because people were like, well, how much is it? Well, they didn't have an amount because he wasn't getting a ticket. He was being charged with a crime. But they didn't like take him in and like book him and, charge him. They were just like, you got to go to court on this. Pima County. No wonder the Nancy Guthrie case is so screwed. If that's the way that police department is, if that's where their priorities are, going after some innocent black male for a BS charge. No wonder they haven't found Nancy. Um, Miss says they stay live until they get out of the neighborhood each time. And Gabriel always is sweet and supportive. Good for her. Good for him that he's got a supportive partner. Is that his wife or is that his girlfriend? I would suppose she's the mama of his children. Ash Cash, where is A&T? I heard they haven't been home. That's the $64,000 question, Ash. We do not know. They have just flown the coop. Must be expensive to be paying a mortgage on a house when you don't have a job and now having to pay for another place to live unless they're freeloading with somebody. Maybe they're over at Dominic's. We don't know. Now, on the other hand, they're probably, since 80% of the population believes that they might have been involved in this, even though that's never been proven, um, maybe they're having security threats, and for the security of themselves and their child, they had to leave. Um, it's very possible that it could be a security issue. Wasn't it 2-hour mark, not 2 minutes? Yeah, I thought when I read that it was 2:16, but I was thinking 2 minutes 16 seconds. It was 2 hours and 16 minutes. VMIS. So last night, Alex purposely acted like he was drinking shots on his live. Yeah, is that the guy with the tattoos? The big guy with the tattoos? I don't know all these characters. No single officer ever came out. So that speaks volumes about why they called on Juice. I'm telling you. Some maggot called in and the police were like, "Well, we got to come out." And yep, black man crapping up the neighborhood. It's terrible. It's despicable. Colleen, this has been I kind of went off on a tangent on this video. And I apologize for the cursing, but there was just no other way to get it across. Kathy, yes, he seems sweet. Yes, he is sweet. I mean, I don't know like his background or, I just know that he's out supporting the search for Nancy and he seems like he has a good heart. And I'm telling you, if that had been a white YouTuber, there wouldn't be a problem here. Ash Cash, exactly. April, after what I saw they did to Juice, I don't know if poor Nancy will be found. That's how that's what I'm thinking. Like, if that police department, if you have even a police officer called and said, hey, man, like, and then he couldn't finish the conversation because then the cops were walking back up to like write him up. And so he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and the guy had an unlisted number, so he couldn't call that guy back. And this guy was another cop from another county, and he's like, "We hate that police department. It's not just us. Everybody hates Pima County. Sounds like there's a lot of dirty cops and corruptness going on in that county." And then I was like, "Well, no wonder this Nancy case is so messed up." Miss says he's never been arrested for anything. Yeah, because I heard it. He doesn't have like a criminal record or nothing. That's what he was claiming, and they're like, "Oh, well, this could mess you up if you want to get a job. Like, what if he wants to drive DoorDash or something with his girlfriend?" And then they're like, "Oh no, you're a criminal. You know, a white YouTuber is fine." Exactly. Christy sent you a picture on email of the maggot's message bragging about calling and making a complaint. Oh, thank you. I said, I bet it's a white Republican maggot. And don't be offended if you're Republican because I have many family members and friends that are Republican. I don't necessarily agree with them. The Republican Party is not what it used to be. Uh, but you're welcome here. We don't get into politics very often. And I vote whether it's a Democratic or Republican or an independent. I vote for the best candidate. I don't vote because of, oh, it's this party. Uh, You know, that's not the way I vote. I vote for whoever's the best man or woman for the job. But I'm sure this was a white Republican maggot racist who doesn't want a black man in the Catalina foothills. And you know what? I think Nancy Guthrie, she would be absolutely appalled at this circus. She would be thrilled at, like, wow, look at all these people that care for me, these total strangers that are looking for me, and look at the beautiful yellow flowers in front of my house. But the person that came up and desecrated the memoriam, she would hate that person. And the people that cut up the cactus and threw the rocks and the poop, she would hate that person and want them to be arrested and think that that was despicable behavior. And what happened to a black man on that street last night, right across the street from her home? She would be sickened by that because she didn't raise kids to be like that. Um, Christy sent you a picture. Okay, I saw that. I'll look later. Ashcash, I'm losing my faith. This is ridiculous. That's what this case has come to. And today is 126, and that was on day 124. We have no idea where Nancy is. We're not even looking for her. They're not even looking for her. And that arrest, that didn't happen in like 10 or 15 minutes. All the officer had to do was drive up and say, hey, we got a call. And we just have to come out here because we got a call. And you just, can you just move a couple more inches that way? Or, if you need a ride out of here, I'll take you to a different look. I would have offered the guy a ride. I'd be out there pushing some of those rocks back. Where's the county of Pima to come pick up the poop? Somebody needs to come out and clean that mess up because it's not on private property. It's on public land. It's on county land. Pima County, get it together. Get out there. Have your sanitation department come out there and clean that mess up. I'd be the cop getting my uniform dirty on my hands and knees, with my bad back, helping the juice move the rocks. But it's covered in poop, so nobody can touch it. It's a sanitation issue. It's a health hazard. And he's sitting there surrounded by poop to help bring Nancy home. And the week that he has to make his move out of his home, he's got to take a day off now and lose his income for the day so he can go to court. DeJuice, I want to wrap my loving arms around you, man. Ash Cash calling 911. Yeah, it was reported as a crime. They should get in trouble for wasting taxpayers' money. Yes. Yeah, it was 2 days ago, June 4th. DeJuice, DaaJuice, DeJuice. And go to the live tab, not the video tab, the live tab. Go to the 2 hour and 16-minute mark. Oh, yeah, I watched that video for over an hour. Once it started, I thought it was going to be a few minutes. I was up till 3 a.m. like, 'cause I was like watching a train wreck. And I'm busy with my own channel. I'm busy with, doctors. This summer, my God, I've got the cardiologist, I've got the oncologist, I've got lab work, I've got mammogram. Now they want more x-rays for my kidneys. I got another kidney appointment because apparently when they did the surgery, part of my stone didn't break up and now it's stuck in my left kidney. So I'm going to be at the doctor and probably the hospital again and maybe another kidney surgery. Who knows? I got all this and then I got to start freaking out mentally about the right boob mammogram because I still have one breast left. And I got to start sweating that out like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like, and go to the lab and then get the blood results back. And they're like, well, your platelets are off and your red count is off. And we don't know why this is happening and that. I got all of this on my plate, but I still got to come here and do this for Nancy, who I don't even know. But I'm not ashamed of that. I want to do this for Nancy. And yes, it's helped me that I've been monetized. All the super chats, the super thanks. Well, I've got 2 super thanks, but I've had over 100 super chats. People that are sending me gifts in the mail, like they don't even have to do that. People that are sending their free jewels, like it's all helping me. and I appreciate that. But this just pisses me off. And then to have to watch a Dodger game. And I'm a proud Angelino. I'm a proud Californian. I've been a Dodger fan since I was 3 years old. And to still have a guy like Blake Trinan on my team who's a maggot out there wearing a Charlie Kirk hat and, refusing to wear his pride hat. And that was his required uniform for one game. And he wouldn't do it. And then they let him pitch. They brought him in the ninth inning. Sickening. Sickening. Just makes me sick. I wanted to make a video about it today, but I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time on this a-hole. And then I'm lying in bed watching this thing for the juice, and and I knew he never lost his cool. He was always respectful. He was always kind because he knew being a black man in a white neighborhood, he didn't have a chance. So he wasn't gonna, you know. Luckily, he had his camera rolling. And I think the reason the cop was so nice too about it, even though he was really an a-hole, he knew it was being filmed. The Philippines welcome in. Uh, I love Nancy. All my grandparents died when I was young. I would love to have a grandmother or an aunt like Nancy. I only had one aunt. She was not even a bio aunt, and she's deceased. She was one of the first people that died from a COVID pandemic. Crazy. Like I would love to have a mother like Nancy. I mean, nothing against my mom. May she rest in peace. But uh, I just love Nancy. I'd love to have a neighbor like Nancy. I would like to be that neighbor, even though I've got my cane that could, walk over somebody with my cane and be like, hey, can I get your mail out of your mailbox today? Can I water your flowers for you today? Um, can I help you carry in your groceries? She probably had everything delivered because she was too jacked up to probably go shopping at her age. And I know, like when I go even just do the pickups, I still have to get them out of the car from the garage, and I'm there with my cane, and none of the bags have handles on them anymore, or the handles break because of we're not allowed to have plastic bags anymore in California, so it's always a problem getting the paper bags out of the car from the front door. Stuff drops, things spill, you know. How many times have I dropped my recyclables out there? Like, I would just want to do little things for her like that. Like, hey, can I help you out? Can I get your mail? Can I walk your dog? Well, I probably couldn't do that with my cane, but I know she doesn't have a dog anymore. But, you know, what can I do to help you, neighbor? And I would if I, was her neighbor. How can I help you? Um, if he won't play, let him dress and sit on the bench. Well, he was told to play when he went out in his non-uniform last night, and everybody else on that team had to wear the uniform. Everybody. The hat is part of your required uniform. Just it's sickening. It's absolutely sickening. Let's hope that Blake Trinan, he'll have one of his children will grow up and, be in the LGBTQ spectrum. Terrible. Terrible person. Bad for the Dodgers, bad for Los Angeles. And nobody likes him. Like the crowd, they don't like the guy. It doesn't matter how he pitches. They don't like him. The teammates don't like him. And then this DeJuice thing, this and poor Nancy, it's day number 126. But yet we got this guy from Alabama, this Weston, he's found in a week in Japan when he goes missing. And it would have been sooner if they hadn't had a cyclone, you know, or a typhoon, whichever one. I think they call it typhoons in Japan. Um, you know, because the community came together and they went out and they found him. Those guys, they were not paid volunteers, but that's the Japanese way. You help your fellow man, you help your fellow neighbor. I think most everybody that watches my channel is like that, no matter what walks of life you're from. You know, most people, even I've met people, like people go, oh, famous people are so mean and they're so phony. I've met all kinds of famous people, and most of them are very nice people. There's bad apples in every bunch, whether you're rich or you're poor, or you're famous or you're not famous, or you're white or you're black or you're Mexican or you're Asian. There's always good people and there's bad people. Most of the PIs that are in Cali, they're all decent people, but there's a few bad apples. Just like, every doctor's office in your town, most doctors and nurses are very wonderful people and they're helpful, but there's a few bad ones. Just like most police departments, most police officers are good people, but there are dirty cops. There are dirty sheriffs. And seeing how this case has been handled and all the mistakes, I'm starting to go down the rabbit hole now. I'm starting to go way down that rabbit hole. Like, did they release that scene early intentionally to destroy the evidence before the FBI was even allowed to come in? Like, who's in whose pocket here? There's all these rumors about gambling debts, and I'm not just talking about some of the suspects, and those could be BS rumors, but I'm hearing that about a particular police officer in that town too. Like, what is really going on here? Who did this? I wonder if some of the perps, n- could they be somebody that Sheriff Nanos ends up being friends with in the past or associated with? I mean, remember, Tucson is only 20 minutes away from Tucson. It's not exactly a small town, but I think a lot of people there within those neighborhoods, they all it's a tight community there. A lot of people know each other. That sheriff, he's been around that town for a long time. He knows a lot of people there. Um, you gotta wonder. You just gotta wonder about this. Um, hey, Sue Brockschmidt. Oh, I don't know if you're gonna want to watch the replay on this because I just lost my mind today. Uh, but I'm not sorry. Uh, the mess. Yes, I'm in the dang rabbit hole too. Gambling debts and the cartel and the police. I'm telling you, it's crazy. I'm hearing stuff like this now. And people are like, "Oh no, I'm sticking to plan 1, Savannah Factor or somebody close to her." But now it's like this should have been solved by now. And now I'm starting to go down some of these rabbit holes. Um, the miss. This is why I'll be watching the live streams even more as I can to see what happens. Mama Bird. Oh my God, Mama Bird. I'm almost embarrassed because I feel like I know you, Mama Bird. She says, "Hi, Miss April. We went in adventure today, found some cool stuff, shower time, wanted to leave a like and send a hug." You know what? If you rewatch this video, Mama Bird, you might be ashamed of me because I got very upset today with what happened to a black man in Arizona 2 nights ago who's trying to keep this case relevant like I am, and I'm also very upset with what happened last night involving a Los Angeles Dodger. And I said a few bad words, Mama Bird. I'm glad that if you were gonna come in, of all days for you to come in, you came in towards the latter part of the video and not the early part of the video. And I should apologize, but that would not be true from my heart if I apologized to my audience for saying those words because I have heard other YouTubers say that and get away with it. But if this video gets demonetized, so be it. We talked about the tragedy in Kyoto today. We talked a little bit about what I normally talk about, Nancy Guthrie, but we talked about this awful situation involving one of the most wonderful YouTubers that's out there, like myself, trying to keep this case alive. And then, this Blake Trinan incident got brought into all this. So, um, well, I'm glad it isn't just me. Love you, Mama Bird. And I love GP too. GP, give him a hug for me. Everybody, say hi to Mama Bird. She's one of the gold community here. She's a friend of Kermudge and Hearts and Jason and Alaskan Assassin. We even had Mrs. Alaskan Assassin come in today. I was so thrilled to see her come in for the first time. Um, that's true, VMIS. It's a lot like the Boulder police officers that were in the Boulder County Police Department. Let's remember some of the Pima County deputies are not fans of Nanos and also want him out. He absolutely has to go. Sue Brock Schmidt, I can talk like a sailor, unfortunately. Yeah, it's okay. And you would be fine around me to do that. I'm totally fine. Like, I have a lot of Canadian friends and they can say things on TV in Canada and on the radio that you could never say here. Um, it's fine, but I shouldn't be saying these words on YouTube, but you know, this is very upsetting. And like I said, most of you guys here probably already know who he is, but if you didn't know who he was before you heard me tell this horrible story today, um, please tell him, go to Juice's video on June 4th, go to his live, go to his comment section and say, "Hey, I was brought over here by April Davis PI." Uh, Mama Bird, love you. Thank you so much. You didn't need to do that. She says, share the kindness, smash that like button. That's what I try to promote. Like I said, I don't care what your background is, the color of your skin, your gender, your sexuality, your religious affiliations. I don't care what political party you belong to, as long as everybody here is nice and respectful and we're all here for the same purpose. Hashtag justice for Nancy. We're all here for Nancy and Savannah and grandkids. You know, we're trying to make the world a better place. I'm disabled. I can't go to Tucson and go on this case. I could get in trouble if I did that because someone would think I was being sent there as a PI and I can't cross the state lines like that. I was briefly licensed years ago in Arizona, but I'm so busy in California, I never used my license. Now I'm disabled. So I'm sitting here in my chair with my back killing me, but I'm coming on every day, even when I don't feel like it. But I do have a lot of medical stuff that I have to handle this summer as well, because that never ends for me. Once a cancer patient, always a cancer patient. I mean, I'm happy that I'm alive. I survived. How many surgeries have I already had this year? Uh, well, I had a major surgery in January and another surgery in February, a hospitalization in March, and I have like umpteen million tests and doctor's appointments this summer. Um, but I still want to come on here every single day. Um, this if you I don't know if you haven't heard what happened, you might want to rewatch this video, Mama Bird. You might want to come in and hear the situation. This is just it's terrible. There's absolutely no room uh, on my channel for racism, and it wasn't anybody on my channel that did anything, but I feel really really bad for the juice, and even though I'm on a limited income with no extra money to spend, I did take some of my YouTube money, and it was just a little bit. I've sent him super chats before, but I sent a super chat or super thanks since it was after the video. I sent a super thanks to Juice, and I hyped his video, and I thumbs upped it, and I made several comments like we're here for you, we're behind you. You know, um, what a horrible situation. Summer. Let's see. Who is Summer? Let me scroll down. Summer sent a gift. Summer sent a sundae and sent a gold coin and a floating heart. Now, you're not the Summer I know in Florida, are you? I don't think so, but just asking. 'Cause I know a summer. Uh, Mama bird, much love. Got a shower before I run out of steam. Thank you, lovely, for coming in. Hugs and kisses to you. Ash Cash. April, that's so sweet of you. Everything adds up. That's how I thought, because I didn't know that like they were already going to get him an attorney, but then I was like, I don't care. He's going to lose a day of work over this, and he said he's supposed to move that week. And now he's got to go to court, and he may get a big fine. They may like let him off and then say, "Oh, you're going to get a fine," and he's going to have to pay that. And now, um, oh, not this guy again. Well, you sure keep coming back. It's funny, all these people that don't like me, but they keep coming back for more. Uh, oh, yeah, that's funny. Yes, you are hard to please. I know. Oh, it says it was deleted. I wasn't see, it's very hard to do this on the phone. Hard to please guide. Let me do that one more time. Okay, there you go. Timeout. 24 hours. And I don't take many people out, but come on. Cali girl on fire. Sent the hearts. Thank you. What is that icon, Jay? I like it. The little blue guy, the emoji. What is that? Oh, yeah, like everybody just go support this guy. You know, I usually send my super chats to smaller YouTubers. Um, small YouTubers that are small like me, you know. Um, but even if he doesn't need it, I wanted to do it. He's going to miss a day at work to go to court for that, and hopefully the judges in that town have more sense than the sheriff's department. Oh. Kathy says, I hope the juice doesn't get a fine, but JLR and Alex and Jim will make sure it's taken care of. I think they will. Juice started out very small. Oh, really? Okay. See, I didn't know who any of these people were until this case. He's only gotten more of an audience in the last month or so, and he deserves it. He's boots on the ground, sitting out there in that 100-degree heat. And it's only June, first week of June. I know it gets bad out there in April, May, and it's already probably bad now in June, but it's only going to get worse. It'd be nice if those guys could be out there in some of those monsoonal storms, but I don't want them to be out there in like a lightning storm or anything. I don't want it to be dangerous for them. But they get hail and lightning and thunder, and the streets just fill up with water, and the deserts too. So if let's say there's a crime scene involving the Nancy Guthrie case, like, and I don't just mean her house, but where she was taken, that would be a crime scene. Like if she was buried in the desert, all that's going to get disturbed, when the monsoonal season comes, which will be any day now. It's a smiley icon at end of chat writing. Okay. Um, Ash Cash, I think Juice goes to court around the 17th. Yeah, I thought I heard 16th, but I could be wrong. I pray he will be okay. If it were here locally, I would stumble down there with my cane. Even if I had to take an Uber down there, and I would go just to like be supportive. Juice said the officer's hands were shaking and seemed like he did not want to give him the charge. Maybe he didn't. I wouldn't have. I would have just said, you know what? Can you just move a few inches back? Can I help you move some of these rocks? Let me get on the phone and get sanitation out here, because they could do that. They can call a tow truck. They can call sanitation and say, hey, we got a problem out here, and we need a sanitation guy right now. Send a truck, and let's get these rocks picked up. Let's get the gloves on, or the shovels. Let's get the cactus picked up. Let's pick up all the poop. And it wasn't just dog poop. He said it was more than that. And it was not just there. It was in other places of the neighborhood where people have been dropping poop. Like that's a crime. Even the officer said, "Yeah, that's littering." Well, it's more than littering because I guess it's against the law to desecrate the cactus out there. Just like it's against the law to harm the wildlife or to put the street lamps up, and you gotta be careful on your lighting because of the wildlife rules, and, there's a lot of different crimes I think they could cause or they could charge the person or people. I don't know if it was one person or several people, but, somebody went to a lot of work to do that. And you gotta know that somebody must have seen it, but I guess nobody saw Nancy be taken either. Maybe it happened in the middle of the night, but I think that would draw attention. If you had to be out there with a flashlight or something, were you out there in the middle of the night with an axe or a hatchet? And, you know, JLR, I think going to Texas, leaving Sunday. Okay. It is disgusting, Jay. Thank you for the yellow heart, Callie Girl on Fire for Nancy. Themis, big wealthy snooty folks out there in their lovely neighborhood placing poop on rocks. Real class act. Exactly. Ash Cash said that's disgusting. Yeah, it's a health hazard too. And he's sitting out there in 103-degree heat. 103-degree heat. I heard it was 103 yesterday. With the poop, and there's mice out there, and the mice have hantavirus. Like, and there's rattlesnakes out there, and now he's got to be up in the bush where there's the snakes, and they've seen snakes out there. And one of the YouTubers, I don't know who it was, like killed one of the snakes. And it wasn't even a venomous snake. I wouldn't even kill a rattlesnake. I would call a snake company, even if I had to pay someone to come out and pick it up and relocate it to the Santa Monica Mountains. Like, I wouldn't kill a snake. Yeah, someone told them today to call the road department. They already reported it to the police and nothing was done. Yeah, but see, the police could make that call. And the police could stay there and say, "Hey, I need Department of Sanitation to respond to this address right now, and I'm waiting." If I were the cop, I would have been down on my hands and knees, like trying to clean that mess up so that he would have a couple of more inches of space to put his feet. Yeah, they didn't do anything, Bemis. Ooh, Sue Brock says, "I almost got bit by a rattlesnake when I moved to Arizona, but I bet you didn't hurt the snake, did you?" Bemis says, "This is the worst police department I have ever seen." Ash Cash, exactly. That's nasty. Or exactly 100%. That's nasty. And it's in the 100-plus-degree weather. Cali Girl on Fire, I agree with that. Someone very high up is in charge. Yeah, somebody's having the sanitation department not go out there to clean that up. Sue Brock said, "No, I ran." Good for you. Ugh. I'm the type of person when I drive down the street, there's this one street that's called Camarillo that's in Los Angeles. But when it crosses the Burbank line, it becomes Verdugo. And it's the same street. And there's also the LA Toluca Lake line. There's a street you can go on called Clybourne. And if your car is on one side of the street, you're in Burbank, which is a separate city in LA County. The other side of the street is Los Angeles. And but they have to have the street numbers be the same, so when the fire department or the police department gets called, they can go to the right address. And that street, Verdugo in Camarillo, and it's on the way to the market. There's all kinds of squirrels out on that street, and they just cross that road. And there's a lot of bad accidents on that street. People speed. Even the street where my mailbox is in Studio City, where my former home was in the Brady Bunch neighborhood, people speed down that street a lot too. And there's a lot of fatality accidents on that street. I've seen it happen. And when I'm driving and I see like just a squirrel that's been hit, I almost like start to cry. Like, Or if I'm on the freeway and on the on-ramp or the off-ramp, there's a dead raccoon, and I'm just like, "Oh," like, it just I can't see roadkill and not get emotional. Um, Ash Cash, I feel like they just want us to hush and forget about poor Nancy and some of them neighbors. What do they know? Some of them neighbors, not all. Oh, you mean the neighbors might know something about this case? That could be. It was like when MH370 happened and they had to start asking some of these other countries, like, what did you see happen in your airspace? And they all, except for Thailand, and I can understand this because I have a Thai family and they're very nice people. Thailand was the only country that stood up and said, yeah, that plane went over our airspace. Well, what did you do about it, Thailand? Nothing. But other countries were like, oh, no, 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 we didn't say anything. And a lot of stuff happened over the Maldives. There's a lot of connections to the Maldives with that case. And their military, I've got a video on this, the Maldives Self-Defense Force, whatever they're called. I think it's the Maldivian National Defense Force. They went out and got that mine, which wasn't a mine. It was a fire suppression tank from a Boeing 777, and they got rid of it. And all those people that the police took the statements from about the low-flying plane with the red and blue stripes, that's all been like, oh, no, no, wait, wait, we didn't see nothing. We didn't see nothing. They saw something. They did investigations. They've got evidence from the plane. They didn't see nothing. Well, I should say potential evidence from the plane. Because how did that get into the Maldives? Hello, you know. And there was a lady, I think her name was Mary Shivo or something like that. She was like a retired FAA or NTSB person who would get on CNN. She was an analysis. She was an analysis. No, let's just say she was. No, no, no. I don't know her title, but she would go on CNN with her knowledge of aircraft and aircraft investigations. And she said from day one, like, you know what? There are countries who know more about this than what they're saying. And they're all like, oh, no, I didn't see nothing. And when I would do investigations, especially involving certain countries of people that didn't speak English, but they could say a few words, even with a translator there, and they would pretend like they don't know, they don't understand, but they go, I don't know nothing. And when I had to write the statements instead of record them, which I hated, I have a very bad problem with my left hand now because of my breast cancer, my breast surgery, my lymph nodes being removed, and the 30 years of writing statements by hand. Like, they go, I don't know nothing. I don't know nothing. And I'm like, how do I write that? I don't know nothing. Like, I think whoever just said that is right on. There probably are people in the neighborhood that know something, but they're like, maybe I just won't get involved in this. And maybe some of those people are scared. Middle of country has deer. Yeah, we have a lot of deer here too, Jay, but not as much as like the East Coast. Yeah, Ash, I'm starting to wonder. I bet you've seen a lot, April, being a PI. Yes, I have. I've seen a lot of bad, crappy things. But what happened in Tucson on June 4th involving the juice and the Pima County Sheriff is unacceptable. I hope his channel blows up. I know it's already a lot bigger than mine, but I think someone said he started out small and then he's one of the boots on the ground. So it's gotten, I'm sure if I was out there every day sitting in the heat, I'd have more than, what is it? Let me check. 3147? Let me refresh. 3149. Wow. That's only taken 5 years and 5 plus months. Wow. Wow. At the end of this month It'll be 5 years and 6 months. I'm obviously not that good at this. I hope I don't get demonetized now because of, I went on a tyrant today. Um, but yeah, I think I've seen it all, and then something like what happened with the juice happens, and it just makes me sick. And I'm not even ex-law enforcement, but I work with law enforcement a lot in the PI world, and I just don't think that situation was handled properly. And hopefully they'll get a good judge and they'll throw the whole thing out and they'll just say, next time, just make sure you're not out on the street where you could, be hit by a car. Because now they're gonna have to go catch everybody that's on that street and say, "Oh, you're causing a road hazard. The traffic can't get through." This is what this case has come to on the 126th day. That is what we're talking about. We should be talking more about the story that I've got on my thumbnail. Sad. Very sad. Oh, by the way, I don't know if she's here. I've seen Sassy Granny was here, and I see Sue Brock Schmidt was here. I don't know. Is Sue from Massachusetts? Are you here? If you're not here and you rewatch this, I have to mention you. I went to the box today to drop off a UPS package, and someone, and I'm not going to mention till I get it, but someone sent me a couple more gift cards. And I thought maybe perhaps Amazon might have delivered them today to the box. So I didn't take my pickup money because on the packages I have to pay a pickup fee. I didn't take the pickup money because I knew that if the gift cards were there, they would just like fold the envelope like 3 times, the Amazon envelope, and they'd stuff it into my box. And I'd just be able to, wedge it out. But that wasn't there. And instead, there was a slip in my box. There was a little blue card that had the number 3, which means you owe $3. And I thought, I owe $3 just to pick up the gift cards? Like maybe did they put them in a box this time instead of the envelope? And they couldn't put the box inside my mailbox? So they're holding it. And I was like, $3. And then the guy walks out. Okay, let me show you. The guy walks out from behind the counter. By the way, I didn't have any cash. So I'm like, well, I can leave this here and pick it up, next week or, because they don't want to put $3 on their credit card or my credit card because then they have to pay the banking fees. But I know it's hard to see with the green screen. I should turn the green screen off maybe, but it's big. This sucker is heavy. And I'm like, well, that can't be my gift cards. What's that? I'm not expecting any packages here. I'm having everything sent to my home except for the YouTube stuff. Like, what is this? And he shakes the box and he goes, it's liquid. And I'm like, liquid? Like, because I check my YouTube wish list store like pretty frequently because I get the notices and I'm like, well, I'm waiting for a couple of gift cards. Like, and he goes, oh, it's liquid. And I'm like, will you open it? Do you have a box cutter? I was like, I don't know what this is. And I wasn't sure to take it because I was like, are you sure? Does it have April Davis on the box? Like, I said, I didn't order anything like this. I'm like, God, this looks yummy. What is this? And he goes, oh, I think, because he opened the box for me, he's like, I think there's a gift receipt in the box. And it was Sue from Massachusetts. Sue, she must have surprised me and bought a gift off the list and sent it to me. And it's called Zavia Soda Made Better. It's 0 sugar ginger root beer. I've never had this before. Sue, you didn't need to do that. Oh my god, can you believe that? I'm guessing she's done talking about Higginbotham. Yeah, for now, John, you'll have to see the beginning of the video. So thank you, Susan or Sue, my friend in Massachusetts. Isn't that sweet? I will have to go back next week and pick up the gift cards, and then we'll talk about those. But who would have believed that any of this was going to happen? But thank you for supporting me being a small YouTuber, and thank you for all the people. If you didn't already know who DeJuice is, I didn't know who he was until this case. Go over and give him a subscribe, give him a thumbs up on that June 4th video, and tell him that I sent you. Um, yeah, I still feel so bad. Oh, there you are, Susan M. Yes, April, your favorite diet ginger beer has aspartame. Oh, I didn't know that. I thought you should have something without aspartame. Thank you. I can't wait to try it. Yeah, I'm on my last bottle. In fact, I showed at the beginning of the video, I couldn't get the lid off. I had to use tools to punch a hole in it and then pour it into a Pyrex cup and then pour it into an old bottle because the lid wouldn't open on the last one that was sent to me. I had a couple 4 packs that came recently. So, yeah, I'm on the last one. But now I have this to try. Thank you so much, Sue. Uh, does the juice live in Arizona? I think so, JoJo. I think he's a local because he mentions his either his wife or his girlfriend, his partner, and someone here said she drives for DoorDash and they have 3 kids together, and that he's a physical therapist. So uh, I know he did say something that this court date that I think he said was the 16th. Someone here said maybe it was the 17th, but that court date is around the day that he has to move. So I think he is a local. Christy says yes, he is a Tucson local. Um, I didn't know that, Sue. Thank you for letting me know. Um, aspartame is so bad for your body. Yes, it is. Thank you, Susan or Sue in Massachusetts. And Sue in New York, Sassy Granny, and Sue in Michigan, you have all been supportive. Thank you so much. I have to think about it because we have so many Sues and Susans and Suzannes and so many Kellys and Kathys and Karens. So I will try that. I appreciate you. Does it taste good? Oh, good. Well, I'm sure you wouldn't send it to me if it didn't. So thanks for being the guinea pig and trying it out. And yeah, if you didn't see the beginning of this video and you get offended by any naughty words, you don't want to watch it because I get very upset about what happened to the juice, and I'm very ashamed of a great organization like the Los Angeles Dodgers for allowing one of their players to be a total a-hole. He shouldn't be allowed by Major League Baseball to be on the field, and I hope he gets a fine for not wearing the uniform that he was assigned to wear last night. And when he also wrote Charlie Kirk across his hat, that is also it's against the rules. And you know who else has done that? A lot of people are going to be shocked to hear this. But Clayton Kershaw has also had very adverse reactions in the past to Pride Night and wrote Bible verses on his hat, and they never mind him. And he's got hundreds of millions of dollars. Heck, Clayton Kershaw could even be a billionaire by now, just to his just all the merchandising and the sports contracts outside of baseball, all the stuff that he's selling. Um, he should have been fined. And Blake Trinan should have been fined for the Charlie Kirk incident, as he should be fined for refusing to wear the assigned hat last night. Just saying. JoJo. So I live in Arizona and I'm about an hour away. The cops will give kids going to school parking tickets in my neighborhood. Ash Cash. It's nice to have a little following just like family and friends. Yes. JoJo, I have told them it's terrible and now they don't do it in front of my house very often. It is terrible, JoJo. Hi, Kathy. Oh, gosh. You've missed a lot today. I just started with this story, but we only talked about it for a few minutes. This very sad story of James Weston Higginbotham. But then we talked about, remember you were in here yesterday and one of the other YouTubers, or not one of the other YouTubers, but one of the other users or subscribers here mentioned something about the DeJuice situation. And so I had a late night up in the middle of the night again, and I found the video and found the correct time, and I viewed it, and I'm absolutely horrified as to what happened. And I sent him a super chat last night. I hyped his video. I wrote him some messages, and I just hope that everybody here can go over and give DeJuice support. And then while, I was venting and cursing badly, yes, I did curse a lot, but I am not sorry for it today. I mentioned what happened at a Dodger game last night that was absolutely a despicable act by a despicable human being. Should not even be allowed to be in Major League Baseball. So if you rewatch this, just be prepared. If you're offended by bad language, you may not want to rewatch this one, Kathy. I'm sorry you missed all the excitement. Oh, and I'm still like seething over this. I'm sure if I took my blood pressure right now, it'd be very, very high. I guess I should probably go get some water besides this and hydrate and have a bite to eat. Yeah. I don't know. We should never be forced to do something we don't believe in, but maybe he should have just not attended instead of standing out like that. Yeah, put him on the IL. Send him down for 15 days. You don't want to show up and you don't want to wear the uniform that's assigned, then don't play. Ash said she made tacos. Oh, I love tacos, especially being Angelino. I love tacos. God, I could use a taco right now. Yeah, see, on my channel, John, we support everybody. And we know everybody here is different with different beliefs, but everybody is welcome and everybody is supported. We don't allow, racism or bigotry on my channel. It's very, very terrible what happened to a YouTuber last Thursday in Arizona. That probably happened to that man because he was a black man. It's injustice. It's uncalled for. And I hope it goes well for him in court. And even though I didn't get to see the live, I'm very appreciative for the audience that sent the super chats. Yeah, we love everyone. I love everybody. I've always lived my life like that. I have always lived like that. Christy says, I'm Southern and love Southern food. I made white Lima slaw and cornbread. Ooh, Southern cornbread. That's good. I will leave if bigotry happens. It is the heart inside, not the color of the skin. Exactly. And I've lived all over the world, or all over the country, from big cities to small cities, from white cities to black cities. And, my best friend in high school was Hispanic and she was ashamed of it, which was horrible. I thought that was the most silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. My best friend in junior high school in 6th grade was Chinese. My parents' good friends were Chinese. A black family came and lived in our white neighborhood just because we were a white family that accepted them. I live in Los Angeles where we have over 110 different countries. I had a boyfriend, a partner for years who was from Japan. I have a family from Thailand. My neighbor and one of my besties in this building is black. Like there's just no room for racism, bigotry, somebody being prejudiced. It's just, I won't accept that in my group of people here. Uh, Brianna, you haven't heard about the horror show in Hong Kong where Japanese racehorse Liberty Island was down in a race after she was injured. And since then, I have been against Pretty Derby. I don't know anything about that. I don't support horse racing. I do not support horse racing. Um, I don't support circuses using animals either. And I've heard that our mountain lion that was in Pasadena was successfully hit with a dart gun, but not killed and relocated. I have not heard an update on what has happened to the bear that is roaming in Sherman Oaks. And I'm praying for the bear's safety. If you were watching my video yesterday. Well, I better get off the air. I'll probably get demonetized after this video. It'll be sad if I do. Then YouTube will probably, I'll pretty much say that's it. I'll probably stop making videos if I get taken down because of today's video. David Thompson, the other day I had a possible answer for you, but your moderator suspended me? Who suspended you? I don't remember my train of thought. Now I guess your moderator sabotaged my efforts? I'm sorry, David. I don't remember taking you out. I'm not a moderator, though. I'm sorry, I apologize. Welcome back. Say what you need to say, David. Cali Girl on Fire says, now you're fine, freedom of speech and freedom of expression. Well, I certainly expressed myself today, didn't I, Cali Girl on Fire? Yeah, I apologize, David. Yeah, I'm still trying to make a decision if I'm going to have any mods at this point. But I haven't had any issues lately. But I don't have that many mods. You had a possible answer, but your moderator suspended me. I'm sorry, I apologize, but welcome back. I don't know if it was justified or not because I don't, the chat's moving very, very quick. The messages go by very fast on my phone. But yeah, please speak your mind. As long as you keep it clean, you're welcome here. Hey, Panda. Could have been Hearts. It's been a few days since you have been modded up. Yeah, it has been a few days. Yeah, Hearts doesn't come in here very much. She's been really busy. So I don't know. I'm sorry. But thank you for coming back. And if you want to send me a private message too, aprildavispi@gmail.com. Oh, Panda, are you still sick? Panda has the flu and feels terrible. That is awful. Yeah, I hope you feel better soon, Ash. I mean, Panda. I was reading Ashcast saying, "Please, Panda, please feel better." Oh, okay. I just must have got another sub because my LaMetric clock went ding ding. Yeah, 3150. Yeah, since I hit 3K, and I hit that fairly quickly after 2K, but now it's a slow, slow crawl. I was hoping to be to 5,000 by Halloween, and now I'm like, maybe I should shoot for the end of the year because I don't even know if I'm going to make it a 4 at this point. And if anybody gets offended by naughty words, then they're all going to like say, I don't want to watch her anymore. And that's fine. But I do have some Irish blood in my veins, and I have that Irish temper sometimes that comes out, but not in a violent way. Oh no, Panda. Yeah, let's not put something like that in the chat though. I don't want to like people get like I get queasy about stuff like that. I'm sorry. Thank you for retracting that. Yeah, I just somebody else was blowing up my comments about that kind of thing, and I had to kind of give them a little warning, like you can't keep coming in here and talking about stuff like that. I mean, I'm sorry you're sick. That's the worst. I'm so sorry. I'll say a prayer for you, Panda. You need to occasionally step things up a couple of days a week to get new people. Yeah, well, you should. You'll have to watch the replay, Kathy, as long as you're not offended by dirty words. Because I want everybody to go over to DeJuice's channel and go specifically to the video that you know that I was referred to yesterday by another subscriber. And I want everybody to go over and say, hey, I'm coming over here because April Davis told me to come over and watch this video. Unless you've already seen it, you already knew who he was. But if you're watching it because I told you to, then, mention my name. Like we all support you, Juice. Well, be careful with that, Panda, if you're sick. Prayers going up, not offended, but not my cup of tea. And it was probably a good day for you to be late, Kathy. Oh, yeah. There's just a lot of bad things that have happened. This kid in Japan. Oh, well, he's actually American, but he was on vacation in Japan, and he has been found deceased. We don't know all the details, but it doesn't look good. And then we talked about how the police in Japan handled this compared to how Pima County has not been able to find Nancy. And then I was like, oh, by the way, whoever referred me to that video, I saw it last night, and then I got really upset. That's good. You're probably more mature than I am, Kathy. I have that Irish temper. Um, so I don't, I want to say I'm sorry because usually if I do, like slip a curse word, I'll say I'm sorry to my viewers, but I'm not sorry today what I did at all. And if they want to demonetize this video, fine. Hopefully they don't just demonetize my channel. Yeah, you should go see the Juices video from September. June 4th, 2026. Go to his live tab and go to the 2 hour and 16 minute mark and see what happens. Oh, cool. Panda sent the laughing disco. Thank you, Panda. Yeah, I was talking to Alaskan Assassin, sent me some emails earlier, giving me some ideas and stuff like about merch. And I think anything I have, I'm just going to have it on my whatnot. And then, I'll just pay the whatnot fees because the store, they still can't figure out that April Davis is April Davis. And I always said if I ever got monetized again, I will never use a spread shop store. They get most of the money anyhow. I would see like a couple bucks, and then they'd be like, "Oh, we can't confirm your tax ID, so we can't give you your money." And they messed up my taxes. And so if I have any more stickers or anything that comes in the future, I'll just put it on my whatnot shop. And For those of you that aren't members of Whatnot, you can go sign up and get 15 free dollars, and you can follow me and come to my shows. And although I haven't really had time to do shows since I started, I haven't even gone out and sourced, merchandise. I'm too busy handling the Nancy Guthrie case here. Um, oh gosh, I watched Turtle Boy, the guy that brought all the attention to the Karen Reed case. I love his stance on the First Amendment, but don't worry, I'm sure he beat you on a foul mouth. I usually don't curse on my YouTube channel. If Alex Criminal Network isn't canceled for language, then you will be fine. Oh, okay. Is that the guy that's hanging out with JLR? Because I know who Ted is and JLR and the Juice, and I've heard that name Alex, but I don't think is he the guy with the tattoos? Oh, thank you, Panda. You're welcome. It said I had enough to send a gift, so I sent you a laughing disco. Thank you. Oh, Ash Cash says yes. Okay. Big tattooed guy. Okay, now I know who he is. Okay. Uh, right now I've been handling it myself today. If it gets really busy, I'll add you. It's not a problem. You've helped me a lot, Kathy. You've helped me a tremendous amount. But I'm still sad about the other mod that left. She got offended by somebody and it wasn't me, and now I've lost her as a viewer. She helped me so much. She was the one that helped me start the Amazon wish list. Uh, okay, Panda. Feel better. I know you're not well. I'm sorry, Panda. Yeah, I've heard that there's some very bad, terrible bug that's going around the entire United States right now, and it's generally referred to as the December such and such bug. I won't even say the words here, but a lot of people have it right now. So yeah, feel better. It's just going to take time. Maybe the doctor can give you some anti-nausea pills or something, make you feel a little better. Try to drink some ginger ale or some Sprite. Yesterday there was something very vulgar and you were caught up in chat. You didn't see it. Yeah, sometimes that happens. Do you mind why I asked that you can't say the words? Yeah, we don't. There's certain things that we don't want to get the audience like queasy. I had somebody that was coming in here too often that was always talking about that, and I was like, listen, no offense, but you gotta stop like coming onto my channel and my comments and talking, that kind of stuff. People don't want to see that. I know I get queasy. Like I can actually, if I read something like that in the chat or on my comments, my stomach kind of like drops. Like, ooh, I'm not just gonna have people coming into my channel to talk about things like that. Well, I guess we're done today. Yeah. Probably nobody's gonna watch this or everybody's gonna watch this. I don't know. Maybe I'll make a little money on the views from this. I don't think so. People are like, it's not about Nancy, but I mean, none of you guys have complained, but exactly. Cali Girl on Fire, TMI. Yeah. Um, but yeah, if YouTube gets, upset about it, they take me down, and then I'm done. Then I'll go back to my life. Uh, but I will still support the other YouTubers like the Juice. No, my channel is 5 years and 5 months old. It's just the true crime conversation started in February. You're welcome, Kathy. And trust me, I do appreciate everything that you've done, especially when I temporary mod you. That's helped me a lot. But I'm trying to get faster. That's why I have, the chat up in the background too. But it's kind of hard to see both of them at the same time because they're never on the same page at the same time. And then if I turn my head, I'll miss like the jewels that pop up. Well, wavy, a liberal. That's a funny one. Okay. Oh, you're welcome, waves of salt. Welcome in. So funny. Like, I've had people come into the comments and they're like, they'll say things like, Nancy's not really missing. This is a distraction. This is fake. Or they absolutely know who did it because it was Savannah. You're like, Savannah was in New York. Savannah did not do this, nor did she hire someone to do it for her. If Savannah confessed, I would call her a liar. Uh, oh, this is just the last bottle of the diet ginger beer, which is basically it's diet ginger ale from Australia. Yeah, no, I don't drink any alcohol. Being a cancer survivor, of course, I didn't really drink before that either, but I can't even have a sip now with all the medication that I'm on. But I've never been a big drinker. But this is diet soda. And thanks to Sue in Massachusetts, we're going to try this 0 calorie or 0 sugar uh, diet ginger root beer. Sounds interesting. Is who's still here? Oh, Sue says thanks, April. Eat well. I'm going to eat something. I don't know if I'm going to eat well. It's hard to eat well on a limited income. And I was gonna do some grocery shopping today, but I didn't. I went to the mailbox instead, and then I got on here, and then I got outraged by the juice, and I got outraged by you know, Blake Trinan. Her screen usually turns black when she is done. I'm still here. And like I said, normally I will apologize if a bad word slips out, but I will not apologize for today. Uh, you were bad and had Subway again. I kinda like Subway, but I don't eat them anymore because they hardly put anything on the sandwich, but I heard that there was some really bad chemical that's in their bread that's, like, really super dangerous, so it's a good thing I don't really eat them very often. It's hard on a fixed income. Yes, Kathy Doherty. What are your favorite meals? Well, when I was a kid, it was my mother's, pot roast and mashed potatoes, but since my cancer, I've had no red meat or pork. Um, but I do eat chicken, and I did reintroduce turkey. I wasn't even eating white meat for a long time, but because my bones are so bad, I had to get some protein in my body. But my favorite meal in the whole world would be a big bowl of mashed potatoes. Or I could have some, I'd love to be able to order from that Japanese place that's in Studio City. They have these big bowls of the chicken ramen noodle soup that's just the best. But yeah, my favorite thing to eat now, since I've been in Cali most of my life, but as an adult, is tacos, Mexican tacos, and they have great places in LA that have Mexican tacos. So Mexican tacos, I do like Italian. It was always my childhood favorite, but it's kind of sucks to eat Italian without meatballs anymore. So I like Italian, but I love authentic Mexican tacos, and but with no beef. I'll put like chicken in them, and but my comfort food would still be mashed potatoes and a big bowl of Japanese chicken ramen soup. Um, Waves of salt. You'd have to see the beginning of this video to see what happened today. Leftover spaghetti bake. That sounds good, Kathy. You came in late. No problem. Watch the replay, but if you're offended by bad language, today is not the day to start watching my channel. You'll have to watch the other videos. Cali girl, I'm not supposed to have bread, but I cheat, obviously. Yeah, bread is good. No, they used to have plastic in their bread to make it fluffy, but the food babe got it taken out years ago. She is a champion for changing chemicals in our food. Uh, you have a roast cooking now. I would love to have that, but I have not eaten beef since the cancer. You eat a lot of casseroles. That sounds good. Oh, that sounds good, Christy. She says, I'm on a limited income and I make a lot of dried beans and cornbread. Meat is too pricey. Ground turkey and chicken is much cheaper than beef. I use ground chicken for spaghetti, chili, and tacos. Yeah. Thank you, Waves of Salt. No, some really very terrible things have happened in the last couple of days. And some of it pertains to the Nancy Guthrie case. So it might be important that you watch it and you go over to Juice and, tell him I sent you over. I have sourdough bread in my refrigerator right now, Sue, and I hadn't had sourdough in years, but my parents used to buy it when I was a baby and we lived in the Bay Area. So we would have fresh San Francisco sourdough bread. I wish I had a turkey burger left over. I'd make one right now and put it on a piece of sourdough bread. But I didn't get my shopping order done today. Ooh, you make bread. Homemade bread. That would be good. The closest thing to homemade bread for me is Jiffy corn muffins with blueberries out of the box. I just ate homemade chicken and rice and romaine salad with a little Caesar dressing. That's what I feed to my bunnies. She gets romaine, but no dressing for her. But it does sound good. We always talk about food at the end of this, and then I get hungry. Because I don't eat a lot in the morning. I don't eat anything in the morning now. I'm just like trying to sleep. And then the cat started her morning screams again. And I don't understand. I've never had a cat in my adult life that has screamed at me constantly while I'm sleeping. And she had food, and it's like, why are you screaming for hours and hours and hours? And then she'll sleep while I'm doing this, which is kind of good. But by the time I'm ready to go to bed, she's ready to get up and scream. Uh, so I've been screamed at. I haven't slept. Uh, I was up watching, the Juice and the injustice of that. I'm making chicken Alfredo with broccoli one day next week. Oh, I would love that, Kathy. You have everything. You have that big apartment and you have a washer and a dryer and you cook really good food. I am so tempted. If you lived in LA, I'd be your roommate. Waves of salt. I look for updates daily on the Nancy Guthrie. We just don't really see much anymore. Yeah, there's no news stories today. But I talked about this young James Weston Higginbotham because I think the Japanese, the search and rescue people did a terrific job in going out and locating him, even though it didn't turn out well. If they had the same attitude in Pima County, I think Nancy would have been found by now. Thank you, Kathy. One of my biggest supporters. She says, subscribe and turn on the bell. She does lives every day. She is the real deal. I try to be. I am cancer free now, as far as I know, knock on wood. I did beat the cancer, but the cancer beat me. I've had a very bad heart side effect because of the treatment, but I'm still here. I have a close friend in the PI industry that's going through stage 4 right now, and I'm just saying a lot of prayers for her. Most of my family, my 3 out of my 4 grandparents and my dad all lost to cancer. It's in my genes. And I don't smoke, I don't do drugs, but it is what it is. But I do have at the end of August, I will have to have a mammogram on the surviving breast, and that always gives me a lot of anxiety. Every blood test, every X-ray, CT scan, MRI, it never ends. Yeah, it's a full-time job, me just trying to survive. I just wish I felt better. That's all I can say. I wish there was some magic pill, that I could just take like a vitamin and have my energy, but that's probably not gonna happen. Yeah, I was on that pill for 5 years. Actually, I was on 2 of them, Christy. My mom went through breast cancer last year and on a cancer pill now, and she stays so tired. Yep. Yeah, me too, Waves of Salt. I am heartbroken for his parents and his brother. Me too. Yeah. Well, it's better than it was, but it's still the rhythm's not perfect. I've had a lot of surgeries, but it's just something I'm gonna have to deal with for the rest of my life. What did I miss? She appears to have left it up. She actually looks like she's sleeping. Who? Is it me? Am I frozen? I hope so too, Waves of Salt. She says, or are you a man or a woman? Waves of Salt. Well, that's good news. You beat it. I'm sorry to hear you had a side effect. Yeah, a lot of side effects. Hopefully, in time, your heart will heal. I hope so. Oh, yeah, I knew that, Kathy. She said she lost her husband 2 years ago. I really miss him. I am somewhat adjusting. I can't imagine because my one of my besties died in 2022, and I still cry about it every day. Ash says I'm fine on your end. Okay. Nutrition is the most important thing for battling illness. Yes, it's staying on the path that's hard for me. Oh, no problem, Kathy. Yeah, I knew that, Kathy. Well, at least all of us are still here, and we have each other. We're like a YouTube family now. So everybody here support each other. Your bestie died in 2023. Yeah, one of mine died in October 2022, and it was the worst thing in my life that's ever happened. And I've had cancer and a lot of traumatic things in my childhood, and that was still the worst thing that ever happened. It was just the wrong time. But we will see them again. I strongly believe that. So I hear you, Suzanne. Yeah, sometimes people come into your life for a very brief period and then they're gone. Christy said, lost her husband December 24th, 2020. Oh, wow. I was still struggling in 2020. That's when I was starting to recover, actually, at the end of 2020. You miss her regularly. Yeah, I have a video. My cat is actually named after her. There's a video on my channel about her. Now, luckily, I still have my Thai family, but the mom who I'm best friends with, she's busy taking care of grandkids all the time, so she doesn't have a life anymore. She's so busy. Oh, my father-in-law has blood cancer. He's 77, still works full time, and has his own business. He's a fighter. That's awesome. Not that he has cancer, but that he still, works full time and has his own business. Yeah, my dad died from blood cancer. Suzanne says my dad died when I was 16, like Savannah. Oh, no, my father died from blood cancer in Canada. But I think Savannah's dad was pretty young. He had a heart attack in Mexico while he was off working on a mining engineering job. You never know. I love to swim. I grew up with a pool. I love to swim. I swim laps daily. If you have access to a swimming pool, it's so good for you. There is a swimming pool in the next door building that's actually it's owned by the same owners that own this complex. So they use that swimming pool for both buildings, but it's pretty small. My illness acts like cancer but doesn't meet the criteria. I'm currently in remission. Ash Gash says late 40s. Oh, you mean for Charles Guthrie? Yeah, I think he was pretty young. I try to keep myself busy. I have live plants, I do gaming, and I have a great big TV. That's great. For me, it's you know what? It's YouTube. I used to metal detect a lot, and I still do some reselling, but I just haven't been able to get my jewelry inventory that I typically get. I haven't been able to get that anymore. And I'm like, with my disability, it wouldn't be good for me driving around going to thrift shops and garage sales anymore like I used to. I even did the garage sales, when I was in chemo, and sometimes I would be ready to collapse, and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm on chemo," and they could see, like, my little do-rag, and they'd run and get me a glass of water and help me to my car. Kathy Doherty says she reads a lot. I know, I'm still alive, Brian. I'm still alive, everybody. If you never see me come back here, I either died or I got demonetized, and I just said, "You know what? Screw it." But I'd let you guys know. My husband turned 50 and passed 2 weeks later. Appendix cancer. You know what? I have a friend who's a very famous actress. I'm not gonna name her, but, her dad passed from appendix cancer, I believe. It is a very rare cancer. It makes you tired though, but that is me. I love to also sit poolside and soak up the rays. Well, I know you can't tell here because cancer changed my hair color, but I was a natural redhead and I have very, very fair skin, so I burn easily. But I do get to go out. You know what? My Thai family, they have a little boy. Well, now they have 2 grandkids. Um, but the one that's now 3, he likes to come over and visit me, like, in the spring and the summer to use the pool. He's a great swimmer, and so we go out with him and we go into the pool. Like, when they came over for my birthday, his grandmother was like, "Are we gonna use the pool?" And I'm like, "It's like the water's like 60 degrees. It's April. It's still cold." Like, wait a month or 2 before you don't want want 'em to freeze to death and catch pneumonia, it's a little cold for the pool. But, yeah, we go out to the little pool. There used to be one in my building too, but it was damaged during the Northridge earthquake, but I didn't live here then, and I think the building got yellow tagged or red tagged, and they took out the pool, and that's where the palm trees are and the bird feeders out there. There's like a, um, not the bird feeder, but like a bird fountain is out there, a water fountain for the birds. and then there's a bunch of palm trees that they planted. So they're pretty big now, but they used to have a little pool that would have been right out my door. I wish that was still there, the pool. My hubby had 6 massive heart attacks back to back. He lived 8.5 hours when he was taken off the ventilator. Ugh. I understand the ventilator situation. I had to handle that with my ex-boyfriend, and I had to be appointed by the hospital as the person to handle that. Well, it's a very bad situation to be in, to have to be the one that has to make that decision. Yeah, I think he had coded 4 times, and there was a delay, and I had to get family over from Japan, and I know he was very mad because he was like, "Don't let me lay here like this." It was bad, and he had cancer. Yeah, and then things went bad fast for him. I've suffered for 6 years, and he went like that, you know? I know, it's very bad, but everybody was involved, including the family, but I was the sole decision maker. They had a board meeting at the hospital, and I said, "Well, what if the family gets here and they try to override the decision?" And they're like, "We won't allow that." 'Cause him and I, we talked about things like that before, so I knew what he wanted. It was grueling. I was with him till the very end. Right before he passed, I gave him a kiss on the cheek and told him I would see him on the other side. Yep, and you will. But for now, you're supposed to be here for whatever reason. Me too. I should have already been gone from what's happened to me. Look it up. Go to Doctor Google, put in stage 3, grade 3 breast cancer. You'll read very bad things. But I choose to think positively and not negatively because negative thoughts can be influential to one's health. Yes, you did, Kathy. Hey, Carson, Triple C. Yeah, this has been a weird one today. I have to say, this is probably the weirdest live that I have ever done. But I don't think many people came in to see this today. I can't imagine your chemo treatments. I'm glad you can't imagine. I'm glad that you cannot imagine that. You wouldn't want to. Must have been horrible. I did chemo the old fashioned way, 15 shots to the belly. When that didn't work, moved to infusions, which did work okay. Yeah, be positive. Yeah, the thing that got to my heart was apparently what's called red devil chemo. But if they hadn't saved me, I wouldn't be here to talk to you guys today. Cursing like a sailor and just losing my mind today. No, not anymore. I'm just going through all the side effects. But I'm cancer free as far as I know, knock on wood, Carson. If you guys want to read about it, and you don't have to donate, but if you go to the links, you'll see my GoFundMe and you can see everything that happened. Yes, be positive. Absolutely. That's okay. We are humans. We all have our moments. Well, I certainly had one today. My Irish temper came out, didn't it? And I will do anything I can to help the juice. Please go over, see that video from 6'4", go to his live, go to the 2 hour and 16 minute mark, and tell him that April Davis PI, a fellow YouTuber, sent you over there and that you fully support him. And I'm not going to boycott the Dodgers because I love the Dodgers, but I do think that they have made a terrible mistake continuing to employ Blake Trinan. And I already said all the bad words I could say about him. How do I bounce back from a bad day? You mean with then or now? Not a bad day today. I'm with the living. Gosh, I'm Port Irish. Yeah, me too. We have our moments. Thank you. We are here for you on good and bad days. Yeah, normally this is pretty positive. I mean, you guys, you're here. We all met each other because of a terrible, terrible tragedy. I mean, remember, Nancy Guthrie is still missing. Savannah still has no idea what has happened to her mother. And her other daughter, Annie, and her son-in-law, Tommaso, they are still under public scrutiny because 80% of people that are watching this case believe that they are somehow guilty or involved in this. And I'm not saying that. I do have my list, but I'm not saying that. And imagine if they are not involved in this, like Nanos claims that they are not involved in this, how bad they must feel. Watch all the 120 or 30 videos I have, Carson, from day one, the Savannah factor or money. And I will not publicly name a suspect, but I do have a suspect video. You can go over and click it on the video tab. Yeah, I can't come on my YouTube channel and say, hey, I think this person did it or this person hired someone to do it. I can't say that. Thank you, Carson. I appreciate that. Did you just subscribe right now? I'll check to see where you landed. It says 3150. Guess it didn't come through yet. But thank you. I pray for them all, even Annie and Tommaso. I am in the 20% camp who can't go to family being involved. I hope not. I know Savannah doesn't think they did it at all, and I hope she's right. I hope she knows more than we know, and she's right about that. I hope Savannah's not living in a dream world. I hope that they're not involved. But it's either going to be connected to someone who's targeting Savannah or targeted Nancy for Savannah's money, or it's going to be what 75 to 92% of cases are. It's going to be somebody close to you, such as a family member, a friend, a neighbor, a worker, someone that came into your home. It's going to be something like that. But I still, being a Hollywood I still have to lean more towards somehow Savannah's fame being involved in this because I've seen these kind of cases. Now, I've never seen an 84-year-old woman get taken out of her house by kidnappers to spend at least 41 minutes in the house and send hokey ransom notes to TMZ. Now, I've never seen anything like that. They haven't been home in over a week. It's been longer than that, I think, hasn't it? A&T, I honestly don't know what I would do, to be honest. Yeah, I know, and that couple is in on it, in my humble opinion. There are certainly some red flags. There's a lot of things I would like to know more about the finances and the checkbooks and the house and the estate and their employment or lack thereof, that big mortgage. There's a lot of things I'd like to know. Savannah would probably be in denial. Absolutely. He doesn't look sad. He looks very angry. Yes. And when they came out in their car before, the FBI had it for, well, actually, it was Pima County Sheriff's towed it for, was it 41 days? They spent more time at their house and with their car than they have at Nancy Guthrie's house. Remember that, putting the hoodie over her head and hiding her face. That, I'm a detective. I didn't just fall off the turnip truck. Like I know deceit, deception, and shame when I see it. It doesn't mean that they're involved and that they did it or they hired someone to do it, but they did show deception, deceit, and shame. Yeah, this is what the Nancy Guthrie playlist has been about. This one will not be in the Nancy Guthrie playlist. I'll probably just put this in the news playlist. I'm not sure. Heck, maybe I should just delete the whole thing. But then you know what? I won't get paid for the, was it one or two super chats that came today? I know Mama Bird came in. Oh, it was one. Yeah, Mama Bird. She did the super chat today. Thank you, Mama Bird. I know she went to take her shower. And then I got quite a few jewels today. Thank you. That'll definitely help. All those little pennies from the jewels, they definitely add up, people. A lot of people think they don't help, but they do. The memberships help. Like Kathy, she's been a member now for how long? Is it 2 months? The membership helps a lot. The people that have sent me the stuff from the store. Ash Cash says it's very strange. I just don't know what to think anymore of what happened. You know what? I go back and forth, and then I have to go back to my original. It's got to be this or that. It depends on what level. There's 3 different levels. I think it's $4.99, $9.99, and then there's another level. They only let me start with 2. It helps. How do you send jewels? It's on Vertical Lives. You just go to the little gift box that should be at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and YouTube gives you so many free jewels to start that you can just hand them out for free. And then once you use your free ones, they charge you if you want to send them. Uh, Carson sent a 6-7. Oh, $4.99. Okay, thanks, Kathy. Yeah, that's level 1, and then there's level 2. If you just click that little, I think if you click the super chat button, you'll see the information about the membership and the gifting and the super chats. And then when you watch either the videos or the shorts or you watch the lives, but after YouTube has had a chance to process them, because it takes a day or two for YouTube to process them. Once you see like the thanks button, and you'll be able to swipe left and see the chat. It takes a couple days. You can see the video right after I go off the air. You can watch the replay, but you won't be able to send a thanks on it and you won't be able to see the chat until it processes. Or you can just go onto the main channel page and, click the membership button or go to the links and click one of the links. I am in Los Angeles, California. Or were you asking Kathy? I am in Los Angeles. Kathy is in the Midwest. Brian says you found them. Okay. Yeah, Brian, he's been watching a lot of my replays because you comment a lot, and I appreciate that because YouTube appreciates that. They like to see the thumbs up. They like to see the comments. They like to see the red hearts coming across the screen. They like to see the memberships going up. Oh, you're from Eastern Ohio. Are you near Cleveland? Some of our old neighbors live outside of Cleveland. And he said the winters there are brutal. Oh, thank you, Carson, for sending the sparkles. I appreciate that. Oh, thank you, Brian. Ash Cash is in Ohio as well. Yeah, there's quite a few people here that are like in the Midwest and Ohio. We got a lot of New Yorkers here, East Coasters. We got a lot of people from the Gulf Coast and Alabama. In fact, I got people from all over the world coming in now. Oh, not far from Pennsylvania. That's a nice area. Spent a lot of time in PA as a child. But yeah, we got people from, even had somebody from Iceland. Now, I haven't seen our friend, the number one channel friend here is Saraf from Israel. He said he was going to be away for a while. So I'm glad he told me that, though, that he was going to be away for a while so that I wouldn't be worried about where is he. Do I get paid whenever I send you the sparkles? Yeah. The jewels that you guys buy or get for free convert to rubies. And I think the reason the minimum is 2 cents is because YouTube splits that in half. So they take 50/50 on the jewels. So I think the smallest one you can send is 2 pennies, and then I get 1 ruby, which means 1 penny. But all those pennies do add up. Not as much as the super chats or the super thanks or even the private donations, but it does make a big difference. No, Kathy doesn't get paid. Is that your question? No, Kathy doesn't. She's a subscriber and she's a member. And then if the channel makes a minimum of 100 a month, then I get a payment on the 21st of the next month. And I haven't even hit my minimums yet for June. It went, April, I had just got monetized at the end of March. So the end of March carried over to April, and then I had my birthday month. So I did great in April. But May was significantly lower, which I will get paid for in June. And June is just coming out of the gates in a very slow crawl. So I'm kind of not confident. I think, people are starting to lose interest. But I made a thumbnail today regarding somebody else, and not many people wanted to come in for that. Uh, yeah, I do need subs and members, and even though I don't get paid for subs, the more subs I have and the more members I have, um, it shows YouTube that people want to see the channel. The most important thing is the views on the video. I mean, I could have 10,000 subscribers, and if nobody was watching, I wouldn't make a penny, and they wouldn't push my channel. But the more subscribers and members I get, the more that YouTube can push it, and then that will bring in the viewership, hopefully. I live alone, Carson, so I do not play Monopoly. Immortal Beloved, welcome in. Oh no, we cannot talk politics. I know, Ashcash, and there's a breaking story about one of them. One of them that disappeared here in LA, she was found, and I need to look more into that. I did a video, and one of them was local and was disappeared on a hike in the Angeles National Forest, and I believe they have found her with bullet wounds, and of course she is deceased. That's a very strange one because I always said, like, well, how does she just disappear if she was hiking with her friends? And it was bullet wounds plural, so it's not like she took herself out. Yeah, I have some videos about that, Ashcash, if you look in the true crime list. And the numbers are going up on the missing scientists and government workers and contractors, and the numbers will continue to go up. Especially with Disclosure Day happening. And I don't mean the movie, I mean the actual Disclosure Day that we had on May the 8th. Well, I think still 27 people watching. Hey, 51 thumbs up. Thank you very much. I really do need to go. I didn't order the groceries today, but I have some leftover breakfast I can eat. And I think I have a Trader Joe's quesadilla I can heat up. And if you haven't come in from the beginning and you want to watch today's video on the replay, just remember, it gets a little wild today. I don't know what the cause of death was, but I believe that the person, the last scientist that was found, they said was shot. But I haven't read a lot about it yet. I will go watch them. I am not far from Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Oh, that's an interesting place. A lot of history there, Ash Cash. That's a lot of history there. Yeah, we're about 2 hours from Edwards, which I have been to multiple times, and I've also worked up at Vandenberg a little bit earlier in my career. But I'm going to let everybody go. And sorry, not sorry about the strong words that I had to use today. Yes, it is, Ashgash. But I'm going to have to sign off for now. Thank you for coming, everybody. Thank you for everybody that sent the jewels. I know Mama Bird sent the super chat, and she's no longer here. But thank you, Mama Bird, if you're rewatching this on the replay. And thank you, Susan M. from Massachusetts. I got your surprise package today. Okay, everybody. See ya.